can't find a time where I can tell ya what I feel now. Been biting my tongue for a while, the words just wanna come out. I'm too afraid to be rejected, it's so expected. I feel like I'm out of my mind, but I know I can't deny you. I am so alienated, sitting on planet X. I'm becoming the person I've hated. Wonder what will happen next. Yeah, I don't know why. It's like a charge around us that just feels right. Can't get my head around it. I can never hit the brakes. Every time you touch me, babe, you send me right out into space. You send me right out into space. Right into space. I'm not the kind of person who is sentimental, but this thing is making me soft, giving into my damn heart. It feels like I am losing my grip, going crazy, 'cause this doesn't make any sense. You're broken down all my defenses. No way back to the old me when I'm stuck here on planet X. I'll become the person I've hated. Wonder what will happen next. Yeah, I don't know why. It's like a charge around us that just feels right. Can't get my head around it. I can never hit the brakes. Every time you touch me, babe, you send me right out into space. You send me right out into space. Right into space. My head tells me to stop, but there is nothing I can do now. When I'm with you, I lose myself. I feel good. Oh, yeah, I don't know why. It's like a charge around us that just feels right. Can't get my head around it. I can never hit the brakes. Every time you touch me, babe, you send me right out into space.
All right. Let's get to it here. What's up? What's happening? And what's going on, everyone? As always, I'm Van Matrix, and welcome to my channel. Oh boy. Hey, what's up, LB? Lola Nicole, thank you for the resub. 14 months. I appreciate it. Oh man. All right, it's been a while. Had some stuff going on last week, man. As a matter of fact, just last night, Mama Matrix had to take a trip to the hospital. I ended up having to leave work early and take her to the hospital because she was at work as well and didn't want to go by ambulance. So I had to pick her up and do all that. So that was fun. Then earlier in the week, last week, I was chewing some candy, and I'll typically take pretty good care of my teeth, so I didn't think too much about it. And I was eating some ginger chews and go to open my mouth up, and part of my molar got broken off and sucked out with it. So thankfully I'm not in any pain or anything, but I was definitely freaking out, and called up the dentist and left a message, because it was on a Sunday. This was last Sunday this all happened. And I find out what time they opened. They opened at like 7:30 in the morning. So I was like, all right. So I'm going to go there as soon as they open. And I do. And I go in there. There's a buddy used to work with my dad. He retired last year. He's in there just giving him hell. And like, I'm not waiting till 9 o'clock for a doctor to come in, and blah, 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 I'm in pain, I need relief now. And then I go in there and I'm just like, trying to be as nice and polite as I can, and they got me. I think that's what got me in so fast, Thankfully, they were able to kind of squeeze me in, and I went in and they did some x-rays and then sent me in another room. And then the dentist came out and he was like, we're going to have to pull it. And I was like, because I actually even saved the fragment of my tooth in like a cup of milk because I was freaking out. I was like Googling what to do, and they said to either put it in a cup of spit or a cup of milk. And I didn't think I could spit that much in a cup. So I got some milk out and put it in there. And he said we were probably going to have to pull it. I was like, oh no. So I guess he took a good look inside my mouth and he said, and the reason why is because of how my tooth broke. It's like just below the gum line. So that's why he suggested I go ahead and pull it. Well, I wanted to save it, and he looked at it in my mouth and stuff. And he goes, well, looking at it in your mouth, it actually looks better than what it does on the x-ray, because on the x-ray it looks like my nerve is exposed and all that. So he said, well, we can go about this two different ways. He goes, we can go ahead and pull it, or he goes, we can do a root canal and a cap, and you have a 50-50 shot of saving it. And I was like, well, I kind of want to save it, and thankfully I have a credit card specifically for, like dental emergencies or vet emergencies, something like that. So, I was prepared, and thankfully, it didn't cost me anything to go in that day, I think, or maybe it does or something. I don't know. Maybe they just charged the insurance and the insurance covered the x-ray. But anywho, it's going to be just under $1,000, to do the root canal and cap. And then I had some people at work, they were telling me, maybe you should have just pulled it, because you should have just pulled it and, got a recommendation on an oral surgeon and just had one of those screw-in veneers put in its place, which I had already thought about. And I was, I figured if I can't save my tooth, that's probably what I'll do. But they said that those screw-in veneers are probably about like $1,500 a tooth. And with the dental insurance that I have, they said, of course they don't cover it. So that's all out of pocket because they consider it to be cosmetic, I'm like, But then I heard tonight that, you know, if you have a tooth pulled, it's like some sort of different consideration or something to where insurance will cover it. I'm not sure. I think there are ways that they can get around that, but I'll have to talk to them later and find out. I'm scheduled to go in on the 25th and have the root canal done, and then like a couple weeks after that or something, have the cap put on or something like that. I'm not sure. But I told Mrs. Matrix, I said, you know, when it comes to my teeth and stuff, and I before all this happened with my tooth breaking, I told her, I said, I always wanted to avoid root canals because once you do a root canal, that's it. Your tooth is on a ticking clock at that point, because, you know, it doesn't have the nerve anymore or blood supply. So the tooth essentially is dead, and you have probably a time frame of 20, maybe 30 years if you're lucky before you have to have it pulled. And I got to think, I was talking to a buddy of mine at work about that, and he goes, well, you know, it's probably better if you can save it. He said it's probably better to have your tooth for 20 something odd years, you know, than not have it. I was like, yeah, you know, yeah, it's a fair point. It was definitely a point I couldn't argue with, you know, so, well, we're going to see what happens with that. So I'm real nervous about that, you know. Oh, man. But anyway, we got some stuff going on. Oh, comfy. Turn the music down and turn it back on here. Turn it real low. Anywho, we got some stuff going on. I don't know if anybody's heard, but since the last time I've been on, CoffeeZilla, if you're not familiar with him, he's a YouTuber, typically reports on like different news and stuff. Well, he came out with like a 3-piece docu-series about Logan Paul's crypto project that kind of went nowhere, and it was called Crypto Zoo. And essentially, you know, Logan Paul was kind of, if you don't know who Logan Paul is, he's like a YouTuber as well, and became popular as like a YouTube boxer or something. Like I had heard of Logan Paul before, but I had to look him up just to see like what his appeal was to all these young kids and stuff and all that. And honestly, I still don't get it, but you know, whatever. What do I know? Because I'm not monetized on YouTube yet. And if any of you that follow my YouTube know, I haven't really posted anything or streamed on it in about 13 months, which I've been working on it for quite some time and just stopping here and there with laziness or frustration or whatever. But I'm going to get started on doing my YouTube stuff here real soon. But anywho, Logan Paul, had to look him up. He's, you know, YouTube influencer, does his podcast, Impulsive, all this and that and the other. Anywho, CoffeeZilla came out with this 3-piece docu-series about this Crypto Zoo deal, and basically was kind of calling him out for it being a scam. And supposedly Logan Paul had put in like $1 million into this project, okay? And then like nothing ever became of it. And then come to find out there's like people on his team that like the head developer ended up like stealing the source code and going to like Switzerland with it or something like that and holding it hostage for like $1 million because supposedly him and the rest of the development team, which I guess was pointed out later on to be like 3 developers on top of like the head developer, so like 4 of them all together that didn't get paid for like almost a year that they were working on the project or something like that. Like it was a complete mess. meanwhile, all these people, you know, that watch Logan Paul, you know, he got them all excited about this crypto zoo thing, and they're, you know, they're like investing in it and all that, and it's supposed to have like an NFT game with it that the animal, you can breed different animals together and they yield you more crypto or something like that. It was definitely convoluted and confusing when they were talking about it. Okay. I don't know why I have like some sort of line. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's like a line right about here. It goes all the way across. I'm not sure what that's about. I don't know if you guys are seeing that or not, but I'm kind of seeing it over here on OBS. Strange. Anywho, so we got that going on. Let's see. I'll just kind of go. I'll just kind of run through these. I'll just kind of run
cryptozoo.co.
I'll just kind of run through these videos real quick with you guys, and you know, sit there and go from there. And like, oh man, it's like causing this animosity between CoffeeZilla and Logan Paul. And the thing about it is like Logan Paul's audience is like way more than CoffeeZilla's, you know. I mean, CoffeeZilla, as I'm looking at him right now, he's got almost 2.5 million subscribers, and that's up almost 1 million from when he posted this stuff about a month ago. Let's see if this is the right view here. Nope, not that one. Hey, here it is. Okay. I'll turn the music off here. But here's kind of like how everything started, right? And everything kind of started with this. And it's really interesting.
I am so excited about this project. It's so fun. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
A fun game that earns you money. How much did you guys make from CryptoZoo?
I lost around $50,000 in CryptoZoo.
I lost $40,000.
I lost around 15,000 US dollars.
I lost $25,000.
$120,000.
500.
Bringing up a point that I've tried to tell people time, I was like, man, this whole crypto thing is all a scam, you know? Like, there's no freaking way I'm investing in crypto. Like, no matter how you slice it, there's not money coming out of nowhere. There's money coming from somewhere. Even if you make money in crypto, you're taking money from someone else because everyone is investing into this thing together, right? So the money's coming from somewhere. It's not just coming out of thin air. That's why I think crypto is a scam. Now, I think blockchain technology in itself, it is extremely interesting and it has value, but I'm just not sure as to what application it can be used for. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting, you know? Okay, anywho.
$100,000 Australian, which is $500,000 in CryptoZoo.
Shut up! No, you haven't.
Yeah, 500K.
Oh no.
Today, we're investigating Logan Paul's CryptoZoo, a blockchain game that made millions but never worked. Some of you guys think you know the story, but it goes so much deeper. I've uncovered sociopaths, billionaires, fake orphans. Did I mention fake orphans?
Fake orphans.
And of course, at the center of it, we have Logan Paul himself, who has abandoned this thing, leaving thousands of fake orphans in his wake. Wait a second. Thousands of victims in his wake. Now, you'll be hearing from some of those people because their stories are heartbreaking. This is the first in a 3-part series that's been a year in the making. And if you like high-effort investigations like this one, please consider supporting.
I did forget to mention that as well. He waited an entire year before he released this 3-part docuseries and did, you know, his investigation and everything else. And like I think that was a reasonable amount of time, like, to get a response. I'll get into that later about how he was trying to get, you know, comment or anything else from other people, which you know, I'll show here in a bit, where he talks to I believe it's Logan Paul's manager, and it just gets crazy. It gets ridiculously crazy. And then the finger pointing and everything else, like, it's no bueno.
This channel on Patreon. I don't take sponsors. We are viewer supported. So if you want to and are able to, thank you. Either way, enjoy the video.
For mass, just because we believe it's going to work. September 1st, cryptozoo.co.
We don't scam.
That's
I've
fine.
never scammed anyone before.
Right.
Logan cares extremely deeply about his audience, loves his audience, loves his brand.
Bear in mind that Logan Paul has done a crypto thing before, the Dink Doink crypto, if you've ever heard of that. I know I had heard of it before. I didn't know Logan Paul was the one that was doing it. And of course that went nowhere as well, which was a scam. Just saying.
Brand doesn't have to scam to make money.
Welcome to part 1, the $1 million mystery that began this whole story. Like many people, I first heard about CryptoZoo from a podcast Logan runs called Impulsive, which was the experience of a lot of people that I spoke to.
So I first heard about it on the Logan Paul podcast.
Impulsive, I think. It was off one of the Impulsive episodes.
The thing that I'm most excited for, and this is the first time I've ever said anything about this, for the last 6 months, I've been working on my own NFT project. I think there needs to be a fresh take, and this project that I have is that fresh take.
Now look, at first,
right,
I was just as surprised at this pitch as anyone else, because I just got finished roasting Logan for a different coin called Dink Doink, which his fans lost money on.
I'm a Dink Doink fan. Dumbest I ever seen, and that's why I'm all in.
It's comedic. It's fun. It's comedy.
Now look, I know Logan and his friends tried to make it look like Dink Doink was all about the memes, but it turns out they secretly were tied to the project, and Logan created the Dink Doink character himself and subsequently abandoned that project. So if you invested in it, you got blasted, and Logan rightfully took a lot of heat for Dink Doink, which is why I was surprised when he seemingly immediately jumped into another crypto project. But Logan insisted CryptoZoo, it was different. It wasn't his friend's project.
Oh,
this time.
of course,
It was
it's different.
his, and it wasn't even a project at all.
Different.
It was a game that could earn you money.
I'm excited to launch my game.
You keep using and you just did it again. You keep using a word there. Game. You're not using like a project. It's a game.
It's a game. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
Now you might be wondering,
of course, it's different. It makes you money, man. It's a game.
Well, let me try to break it down for you. This is how it was supposed to work. You started by buying this crypto token called Zoo, which is their in-game currency, and you use Zoo coins to then buy egg NFTs, which you can then hatch to become animals. You then can breed those two animals to become hybrid animals,
to which later on they come to find out that they're just like photoshopped stock JPEGs from like Adobe or something.
For example, if you breed a gorilla and a kitten, you get a Gore Kitty. And the more rare the NFT, the higher the daily yield of Zoo tokens that animal earns you every day. Theoretically, it works like almost like passive income. You can then burn your animal NFTs to release the Zoo they earned back to you, and from there you can invest it into eggs or just cash out. Now, some of you of the Egyptian persuasion might notice some triangular qualities to this game description.
Pyramid
Let's not be too
scheme.
quick to judge, because remember, there are a lot of NFT games built in this model. It's called play to earn. Now, Logan admits that there are other games like his, but what's going to really make his stand out is that other games have randomly generated assets. His game has handmade art.
It's quick to make a digital asset with, unique, randomly generated characteristics. We handmade art for the past 6 months, bro.
It, man.
Approval, very specific
Handmade
notes,
it,
10
bro.
different artists making art for our project.
Now, I'll admit, this all sounds very enticing. Handmade art, a fun game that can earn you money.
Handmade art, bro.
One of the biggest
Handmade.
influencers in the world backing it. You might think, how can I lose? Which is why when people were told all you had to do to play was buy an egg, people spent millions. Just on the first launch between ETH and Zoo, people bought $2.5 million worth of eggs in the first day. And did I mention the game hadn't even been launched yet? All people were buying was the marketing and the promises. And it wasn't just the NFTs they bought either. The Zoo token also skyrocketed in value, reaching a $2 billion market cap pre-game launch, right? The trading volume was in the tens of millions of dollars per day, which kind of is like Fortnite not coming out, but people trading tens of millions of dollars.
Which kind of goes to my point that I've told people for years is stop making stupid people rich and famous. God. Oh, jeez.
In V-Bucks every day. That's what this was like. And I know it sounds stupid to buy an influencer project, but you have to understand people saw Logan as different.
It was Logan Paul at the end of the day. An internet personality that I actually trusted, that I actually kind of believed in.
Obviously, when someone so influential releases something, everyone wants to be a part of it.
I sort of believed in this false fallacy that everyone else started believing, that Logan Paul's a changed man.
I thought it was a safe.
Yeah, as far as the changed man thing goes, I guess back in 2018 he ended up getting a lot of flack because he ended up like videoing like some sort of forest in Japan or something like that, and then I guess there were like dead people in the forest or something that he was filming the bodies of. And I guess it caused a lot of backlash with his community, and he basically ended up backpedaling and had been like trying to rebuild his image and his brand ever since. And for the most part was succeeding until this all this came out last month.
Place having a guy like that identified, like Logan Paul being the head of the project.
They had seen this story he had been telling everyone that he was this reformed influencer, right? That he was no longer a reckless clout goblin just in it for the money. They thought this time it's different. Logan Paul couldn't possibly scam us, right? But as the game got closer to release, the CryptoZoo team started releasing the first ever photos of these animals. And come to find out, this handmade art story wasn't really true. It was actually Adobe stock photos mashed together. This was the sort of first red flag of this project. And I made a video about it at the time, but it was kind of surface level.
Moist
and
critical.
Something didn't add up beneath the surface. Something where I just couldn't shut this case down in my head. It was actually part of the announcement video that something they said. See if you can spot it.
We have a massive team behind it and are probably out of pocket like $1 million. Just because we believe it's going to work
on development.
Yeah.
And this is, part of the story that you can definitely believe, because anytime you're trying to develop something, you're going to be forking over a lot of money for, R&D and, the teams and this and that and the other, because, that kind of stuff has an expensive cost, getting involved in any sort of business, let alone this crypto stuff. But for someone like him, he's 27 years old. I mean, he's got these young teen guys that like follow him and stuff and think he's the bee's knees, but I mean, you got to think he's only 27 years old himself. He became rich and famous on YouTube like at a young age and stuff. Like, he's not very experienced with real life situations. He doesn't have, and he's got a total disconnect from reality or responsibility that he should be taking care of, being the influencer that he is. And that's what a lot of these influencers don't get, is that you, at some point, you do have a responsibility to kind of stay on the right track, you know.
That's the line that started this whole mystery. We spent $1 million on development. I couldn't get this out of my head. You know, is he lying? There's no way he expects people to believe he spent it on art. So wait, maybe he spent it on blockchain stuff, right? That's what I thought. But then I audited the smart contract, and it's not handmade at all. It's not even original. It's what's called a fork, a copy of, you know, some other code that exists out there. One of them is called Floki Shib X, which launched before it. So where'd this $1 million go? I didn't understand. And Logan just kept repeating this claim.
We've put hundreds of thousands of dollars in it. Personally, the whole team, $1 million plus.
Now, at the time I'm looking into this, there's a teaser going around for Hatch Day, which is the day you can hatch.
Yeah, because you can buy these eggs and they hatch into the animals. So I thought, then you breed the animals together.
This is where
he explained it with the pyramid thing.
Their game. Even their community manager Ben Roth promised people after Hatch Day, things will take a turn for the 180. So I put Ben Roth on the board too. I needed to know all the characters in CryptoZoo, and I waited. And finally, on November 3rd, 2021, Ben Roth turned out to be right. Things did take a turn on Hatch Day, only for the worse. Let's meet one of the victims, Helicopter Bob, to explain more.
My name is Rob. Helicopter Bob lost just under $7,000 with CryptoZoo.
And the first thing I asked Bob was about his animals, if he was making money with CryptoZoo, how much he made, and if the passive yield worked.
Oh, it never did from the beginning. It wasn't even written into the contract where it showed that you were actually yielding zoo, but there was nothing that was actually, you know, backing that up.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
There was no way to claim your yield. There never was.
Wait. Play that again. Did you hear that?
There was no way to claim your yield. There never was.
Hold on. The core mechanic of CryptoZoo, that you can make money with these stupid animals, didn't even work on launch day. And still, to this day, a year later, still does not work, is what the investors are saying. Which, this is just crazy. People spent...
In other words, he's saying, like, even if you made money with it, there's no way to claim the money. Scam.
Millions of dollars on these eggs. But it even
lots of red
worse
flags.
Because I kept talking to people and I discovered something. Because remember I told you could buy eggs with those zoo coins? Well, apparently they also made it so you could buy them with Ethereum. And on the day of selling, about half of these purchases took place with Ethereum. Only it turns out for the people who spent ETH, not only did the yield part of it not work, did the NFTs not pay you, you also couldn't even hatch them.
So I acquired a bunch of eggs, and I actually want to play.
And later on, this guy, if we get into Logan Paul's response, this guy here apparently was involved in a couple of like crypto scams in the past where he scammed the crypto or whatever. So Logan Paul uses this guy specifically to try to discredit CoffeeZilla for not checking the backgrounds of, you know, all these people that he interviewed, this, that, and the other. But at the same time, it's not like the dude didn't get scammed, because he did. And then even though he's probably a POS scammer himself, like there were several other people that still got scammed out of this CryptoZoo. So you can't exactly point the finger at CoffeeZilla for that one. I mean, you just can't.
Play the game. I didn't acquire the eggs with the intent of keeping them. I actually wanted to hatch them and see what I got out of them and play in this ecosystem that's been advertised or whatever, right? And then I can't do anything. It's not showing up on the website when I connect my wallet, etc., etc. So I'm a little baffled. I'm like, I must be doing something wrong. So I open up a support ticket. with CryptoZoo, and Ben Roth is actually the person answering my support ticket. Oh yeah, no, it's down for the moment, but we're working on it. Let me tell you, it's never been up.
Wait, you can't even hatch?
No, I'm telling you, it's just a picture. There's nothing I could do with it.
You're kidding! You can't hatch?
There's nothing I can do with it. You could ask any of those community guys.
I'm laughing because in Logan Paul's response, they like play
so
that 3 times in a row.
Basically nothing worked, and a year later, that's still true. Now, after this was discovered, the price of Zoo fell 63% in just 24 hours. And at this point, Logan Paul basically goes silent on CryptoZoo. No more podcast mentions, no more saying he handmade art. CryptoZoo already got millions in investments, but Logan only speaks in the Discord twice over the next year to say, quote, sober, currently shaking my head, and yo. That was his contribution to this project. Meanwhile, his community manager, Ben Roth, was actively claiming that Logan was going to be marketing CryptoZoo any day now. He told people things like,
at the time, 25, 27-year-old dude, or 25, 26-year-old dude.
When we have a product
think
to
about
market, it'll get marketed. And marketing will crush. I promise you. And this disconnect between Logan abandoning the project and his team on CryptoZoo saying that it was going to be any day now, left investors feeling like they were being led on.
All he had to do was go on and tell us, look, there's something going on with this project, I'm abandoning it, or whatever, before people got more and more trapped. And promising, yeah, this is going to be great. But when it came to actually doing anything, he just hid away from it.
Have some decency to come out, talk to the people that invested initially, that invested along the way on all of the fake and false promises, on all of the false hype, and be honest with people.
Because surely Logan Paul, who's got this billion-dollar hydration company and a WWE star, is got enough money. He doesn't need to rug.
Surely.
And it's because of these false promises about marketing that these poor investors believed in CryptoZoo so long. They sat and watched every Logan Paul episode trying to guess and decipher when this so-called marketing push would happen. And Logan and his team really fed into this with a lot of cryptic messages. Only a month after CryptoZoo's launch, actually, the hatch day, they started teasing this.
Not too much of this is out, but he's been working on a massive project.
And one of them will be the biggest thing I ever do. It's like my life and soul is put into this project, which is where most of my time these days goes.
Wow, surely this secret project that Logan put his soul into is CryptoZoo, right? You know, the project he launched a month ago? Well, his fans certainly thought so.
I'm like, holy cow, it makes so much sense. He's talking about CryptoZoo. Ben and the dudes are like putting smiley faces and egging the rest of the community. Like, this is it, guys. You know, this is what we've been working towards. I mean, this is it. This it's finally happening. Logan's gonna market the project, and they kept saying that Logan's gonna market the project, and it's gonna change everything.
So now imagine their surprise when another clip surfaces of Logan finally admitting this secret project isn't CryptoZoo at all. It's something else entirely.
I'll tell you about this project when we get closer to launch. This project line is going to be.
Is that the thing with the egg?
No. Okay,
No, man.
Oh,
no.
Man, can you imagine if you're one of...
No, because, you know, everything went down the toilet, so you don't want to be associated with that at all. No. No, it's not that project.
These investors. And Logan Paul's going pitching this new secret project, and you're thinking it's CryptoZoo, and someone's like, oh, is it that thing with the eggs? And he's like, no, definitely not. That was the last project. This is the real project that I'm working on. Thankfully, people didn't just let this slide, because as he went around making the rounds on his new project called 99 Originals, people were like, hey, didn't you just abandon your last one? And unsurprisingly, it's not his fault. It's the bad actors who ruined the project.
As I see people giving multiple explanations for why these haven't worked, and you know there's accusations out there. How does it make you feel when people are doing these takedown videos about your NFT projects previously?
It's sad because of what I just said. There's so much going on behind the scenes. Like, Doug, I'm not the bad guy here.
Yeah.
There's some
I'm not the bad guy, though.
Yeah.
And
nothing's ever his fault. Never.
This is a space where a lot of people do see dollar signs. Like any burgeoning industry, if there's money to be made, there's going to be both good and bad people.
That's kind of the primary objective of a business, don't you think? Just a thought.
There's a lot of shady characters in the crypto space. I'm learning all of it. We had an issue with CryptoZoo, where our lead developer took the code that he made, fled to Switzerland, and like held it hostage for $1 million, like behind the scenes drama that like took a stick and stuck it in the spokes of my wheels.
Oh, well, that wasn't expected. There's a shady developer who held up Logan's code hostage in Switzerland. That's why this hasn't worked the whole time. He held it hostage for $1 million. Well, let's add that to the board. I mean, isn't the mystery solved? Now, obviously, the first thing I wanted to do was hunt down this developer, who we'll be calling Z here, and find out the truth of what happened. Why did he steal Logan's code for $1 million? However, I finally got a hold of him, and when I did, he admitted he took the code hostage, but he says the reason for it was nothing like what Logan had said.
He literally never paid me anything at all, ever. I never was paid. And, we got to a point when I was working on it where I just realized they were just going to try to steal all of my work and not pay me. And so I took all the source code private.
Imagine that.
I kind of spent like a month just trying to negotiate and get something figured out where I would finally get paid. Because I'm on my end, I have a team of 30 engineers, so I'm earning $50,000 a week on building this thing.
Which he said in Logan Paul's response to this, he said, "Oh, you said I'm burning $50,000 a week on 30 developers and this and that and the other." I guess he supposedly had a team of 3 people or something like that. So there would have been 4 developers altogether. Sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear that. The mini fridge just kicked on. We'll continue here.
And the only thing they brought to the table were a bunch of Photoshop JPEGs.
So Z claims he wasn't blackmailing anyone. He had to hire a team to develop this whole thing, and he just wanted to be paid for the work they did. According to him, they negotiated a $1 million payday for this whole project. And from the second I heard that, I thought, oh, that's interesting, because Logan claims he spent $1 million on this whole thing. And this developer saying he's owed $1 million on this project. Now, I didn't want to just take one person's word for it, so I later confirmed with another developer who worked for something called the Blockchain Center that he also hadn't been paid.
We've been paid nothing. I would have loved to have Zoo, but I don't have any.
So that's multiple sources working on the CryptoZoo team project who were not paid. Now, obviously, these are big accusations, which is why I wanted to confront Logan Paul on them. But unfortunately, we're not exactly on speaking terms. So I wondered, how could I speak to Logan without speaking?
Yeah, he blocked him on Twitter. So
speaking to Logan. And that's when I found out there was someone who might know just as much about this whole story.
And I will explain everything one day with my manager, who's like in charge now.
Logan Paul's manager, a guy named Jeff Levin. He might be just what we need to settle this whole thing. So I gave him a call.
Hello?
Oh, ads, man, ads.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, sorry to bother you. This is Steven with CoffeeZilla. I'm calling because I've heard reports that CryptoZoo hasn't paid their development team, and I'm just reaching out for comment before I do this story. I got your number from one of the development team, and I just want to follow up on that.
I have no comment for it.
Okay, are you guys denying it, or are you saying it's not true?
Just no comment. I don't think that the information
But wait, it gets better.
is true.
Okay, because they're saying $1 million hasn't been paid in development for CryptoZoo, and Logan Paul said publicly that it has been paid. So, I mean, it's a pretty serious accusation, and obviously, I don't want to just run a story. If you guys have a whole side to your story here,
Your job as someone that is reporting news is to actually verify correct news.
right? That's why I'm calling you.
I know, and that's legal grounds for that stuff. So I'm just telling you, legally, you have to report correct news with verifiable information.
Right, that's why I'm calling you. They've given me a lot of things, a lot of evidence.
I mean, yeah, I understand what where the manager's coming from, you know. But the thing about it is, he's not with any sort of I want to say network or network news or anything like that. So it kind of puts it in a little bit of a gray area, you know. Um, you certainly don't want to get into any sort of like slanderous territory, you know what I mean? But with CoffeeZilla, I think it puts them in a gray area in that part because they threatened him with litigation like this whole time.
Okay. Well, okay. You can have the evidence you want, but I'm just letting you know, if you report anything on us, I appreciate your business. I appreciate you as a person. And I'm just telling you, you know, from a legal standpoint, as we've been advised always, is if anybody reports fake news, that's where we won't, you know.
Yeah, this call was a mess. Jeff, Logan's.
But the thing about it is everything that he is talking about. All right, let me put it this way. Hang on. Think about this. Everything that CoffeeZilla is talking about and reporting on, you know, is true, verified, you know, by people who have invested into this thing and are talking about their experience with this thing. There's nothing fake about that. People are sharing their opinions and experiences with this thing. Is obviously nothing fake about that. That's why I think, even if they did bring any sort of litigation to CoffeeZilla, I think it would be extremely difficult to make anything stick. The only thing that is a little bit interesting is later on, like, you know, this particular conversation with Logan Paul's manager. In the state of California, you have to tell somebody that you're recording a conversation. It's like the one party rule or something, or two party rule or something like that. Here in Indiana, we don't have that. It's like the one party thing. So you don't have to tell somebody that you're recording the conversation and whatnot. And then CoffeeZilla himself, he's in Texas, and Texas is like Indiana as well, where you don't have to tell somebody that you're recording it. But he does, you know, pretty much announce to Logan Paul's manager that he's Steven, you know, with CoffeeZilla, Steven or CoffeeZilla, it's same thing. That's kind of his, you know, his brand. Anywho, but CoffeeZilla, it, you know, basically pretty much announced to him what he was doing. So I would think that would, you know, as say like some sort of media personality or something of that nature, that would probably imply that they're recording you. I think that's a heavy implication there. I would put it in kind of a gray area on that as a legal standpoint. I don't, you know, I'm not a lawyer. I never studied law, anything like that. I've never even had this sort of issue before, but I would think it would put CoffeeZilla in kind of a legal gray area in this one. Perfectly fine everywhere else. This one is kind of a gray area, I think. But we'll see. All right, we'll get back to it here.
Manager seems to be implying that I'm not allowed to repeat allegations his own development team made, even though Logan can go on podcasts and publicly accuse those developers of stealing his code. Not only that, he's the one who refuses to provide any evidence, but seems to sort of be implying that maybe we'll sue you if you tell this to anyone, which he then denies doing when I ask him if that's what he's doing.
Told you I have no comment to it. Telling you once again, from a legal standpoint, you have to report truth. If you do not verify truths, then you're just allegations, and those then will be handled the way that we want to handle them.
Wait, so you're saying
Simple as that.
you refuse to give me proof that the allegations aren't true, But if I report on the
I have no
allegations, you guys might sue.
No, I did not say that. I did not say that.
All
I
right,
said, once again,
I'm trying to read between the
comments.
lines.
Don't read between the lines.
Okay.
Listen to the exact words that I'm saying.
Okay.
Listen to the exact words I'm saying.
I'm listening.
That was an implication of a threat of
your job
legal
legally
process
is to report facts. If you don't report facts on the information you're given, it is illegal.
Yes, that was a real conversation with a real person. Now, I'm no lawyer, but I don't think it's a crime to say that multiple developers say they haven't been paid, and Logan's team refuses to provide any evidence or like statements or wire transfers that they have. Which, by the way, seems incredibly ironic, given just how much Logan whines about not being paid by Floyd Mayweather.
Where's my money, bitch? Floyd never paid me for our fight. Who am I, the IRS?
Nope, but you might be the CryptoZoo dev team. Now, in all seriousness, I do want to acknowledge something which actually kind of looks bad a bit on the developers, because it turns out very few written contracts were actually done. So much of this were verbal deals like, oh, we'll take care of you. We'll give you $350K. We'll give you $1 million. We'll give you whatever. But then when it was time to actually sign the deals, there's just always delays.
What kind of promises were made to you? Verbal promises, basically. So verbal promises, and then we follow up with like a physical paper agreement. But that's when communication broke down.
This is where I think the dev guys screwed up and led to this whole situation of like, okay, we're just going to take the code private until you pay us for our work. And to be clear, I'm not justifying not paying someone for what they did. I'm just playing devil's advocate and saying this could have all been avoided by just getting every detail in writing. And I think it's just a good general lesson.
So that pretty much sums up the first one, right? And then
this is where I think the dev
go to the
Hi, dropshippers.
second one here.
It's time to focus on what you do best. So go to Wix.
For the last 6 months, I've been working on my own NFT project. CryptoZoo.co. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
I lost around $50,000 in CryptoZoo.
I lost $40,000. $500,000 Australian.
I'm telling you, it's just a picture. There's nothing.
An issue that he made.
He literally never paid me. And $1 million.
all of this was Logan Paul. To begin answering the question of who Eddie is, I decided to take a deep dive. I started by looking through all the news articles I could on Eddie, where I found out he graduated from MIT, and from there became a data scientist and cybersecurity expert, and used that technical background to win a Super Bowl for the Eagles. And there were videos on him too, which all painted him as brilliant and extremely accomplished.
Yes, hi, my name's Eddie Ibanez. I'm a father of 3.
Oh, this dude here, he's really interesting. This is the guy who hired all the people on the development team for this project, right? Wait for it.
Lead developer here at CryptoZoo.
As a teenager, he successfully hacked AOL from his bedroom. He continued to pursue computer science.
He was a former hacker, at least that we know of.
Until attending MIT, he was then recruited out to work for a government agency in cybersecurity, developing software that reverse engineers the location of known government and terrorist threats.
You started with the federal government, and you started off really tracking criminals with burner phones and all.
Honestly, after this whole search, I felt more confused than ever. If Eddie's such an amazing guy, why didn't he pay developers? And is he really the puppet master behind CryptoZoo? Or is it someone else? Honestly, I felt like at this point I needed a drink and I needed to ask for help.
Coffee, how's it going?
Not good.
Oh, what happened?
Well, I'm confused about this Eddie Ibanez guy. He comes out of nowhere with this CryptoZoo story, and everything about him I find seems great.
So, what's the problem?
Well, everything's not great. Everything about this guy just seems too perfect. He's an MIT grad, he worked for the military. He even claims he won a Super Bowl. Why would that guy work for Logan Paul?
I don't know, but I can find out. You said his name is Eddie Ibanez?
I think he goes by Eduardo technically, but wait, what are you doing?
I'm just looking around. And done.
Well, what'd you find?
A few red flags, a couple of misdemeanors. Ooh, a few court cases. I'll send them over. He got sued by his landlord for not paying rent, sued by his credit card company for not paying his bill.
You can skip that stuff. I just need whatever's relevant to CryptoZoo.
Well, that's basically it. Other than... hold on. No, wait, I did find something. Look at this.
What's this?
It's from a paper in Philly. I barely picked it up. This reporter says Eddie's entire story is fake.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the whole Eddie Ibanez character. This guy Adam Robb investigated it. He says it's a lie.
I gotta find this guy. Here, send me his info. I got some calls to make.
Coffee!
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We met up with Adam Robb, the reporter who's been investigating Eddie Ibanez for a while now. And I wanted to know, what did Adam think of him when they first met?
Bum, bum, bum.
I wasn't quite sure what to make of him. Based on what I knew about him, he was a MIT grad who went on to work for the CIA and the Defense Department, and I didn't want to waste his time. And it wasn't long after I sat down that I realized he was wasting my time.
Can you tell me about some of the lies Eddie told you?
Eddie has told me so many lies over the course of my 2 interviews with him, and the first lie he told me is probably the oldest lie that he's told so many people, which is that he's an orphan. I first realized Eddie might be lying to me when I went home the next day and Googled Eddie Ibanez's family. I found a video of Eddie and his wife making rice pudding on a Fox and Friends segment on Fox News, and Eddie's wife Jackie explained that she learned the recipe from Eddie's mother.
So in that picture, you've got Jackie Ibanez. You know her, along with her husband Eddie and her 2 little girls. You love rice pudding. Why is this a family recipe?
Okay, so Eddie's mom made this rice pudding once.
Wait, Eddie's mom? I thought Eddie was an orphan. Well, it turns out the only problem with that is that not only does his mom exist, she's alive and in his life. And it turns out...
So, man, imagine that. A scammer in real life you hire to hire the people of the development team of your crypto scam. No, couldn't be, right?
It wasn't just Adam that heard this story either. He told it a lot.
Did you ever meet his mother or his parents?
I did meet his mother.
Did he ever tell you he was an orphan?
Yes.
How did he square that with you?
So that's why I'm so confused. He told me he was an orphan and all this stuff, but then I meet his mom.
He told me he was an orphan and then I met his mother is quite the string of words. But as insane as these lies are, let's be real, it doesn't explain why CryptoZoo failed. But the next lies kind of do, because part of Eddie's story is also that he went to MIT where he was recruited to the CIA. And it's part of why he was so attractive as a lead developer, all the wild experiences that
I will give this guy one thing. I haven't really paid attention to the whole Eddie Ibanez part of this story very closely. So maybe, you know, he had like an adopted mother or something like that. I'm not saying it's impossible. Yeah, more improbable than impossible, but maybe this is who this lady is talking about, or the lady that these people are talking about. I'm not sure. Okay.
he had, but it's just not true.
I emailed the MIT registrar's office and I asked if Eddie Ibanez attended the school, and they confirmed in absolute terms that he never attended MIT.
That's right. The whole orphan to MIT origin story, it wasn't true. And Eddie's whole backstory from here kind of falls apart as well. How could he have been recruited to a government agency out of MIT if he never went to MIT? If this is all seeming crazy to you, you might ask yourself, who would believe all this? And this is where Eddie shines. He kind of had a gift for getting people to believe in the lies he told, especially super rich and powerful people for some reason. Like take, for instance, this story.
Because they're the ones with the money. That it's just plain and simple. Plain and simple to see why you would target those people. They're the ones with the money. You follow the money.
Him winning the Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles. He managed to convince the owner of the New York Yankees that it was true, Barry Klarberg, who completely bought into it without question and told the same story later in a college seminar.
let's jump right into the work that you did for the Philadelphia Eagles, which led to a Super Bowl championship, led to you getting a Super Bowl ring.
Yep.
Tell us exactly what your job was to do for them and how it worked out.
No, sure thing. So first off, they said like, we don't know where to put you, but and then the sports science guy was the one guy. He's like, hey, I got some data. I'm interested. So we took in his data, and then we found out that these players, what happens is it's like a player as they run around, they get at certain fatigue levels. So if you ever played Street Fighter, the video game, there's like a red bar at the top, and every time you get hit, that red bar goes down until you die, KO, right? So then we're trying to figure out kind of what that is for a player and on an injury level, right?
So he's trying to put on the whole, Moneyball thing of putting out the statistics and everything of the team. And basically he's the brains of the operation. So he's going to tell the head coach, hey, this guy needs to come out and replace this guy and blah, 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 so we can win. Yeah. Okay. He's trying to act like the super data hero, right? The super nerd hero of the day.
Injury part that gets knocked down and that gets KO'd.
This is insane. He convinced an owner of the Yankees that he won a Super Bowl by turning sports athletes into Street Fighter characters. And of course, none of it's true. The Philadelphia Eagles responded to a fact check saying he never worked for their player analysis team. Not only that, the Eagles also said that Eddie did try to do an in-person presentation in March of 2018, but that was already a month after the Eagles had already won the Super Bowl. And also they didn't hire him because of course not. Meaning there's no way this story is true. And yet he's convinced people at the highest levels of sports that it is. And this is where we get back to CryptoZoo, of course, because it's how he got involved with that project. Remember Jeff Levin, Logan's manager, who we spoke to last time? Well, he also spoke to Adam Robb. And when he told him the reasons he liked Eddie, they sounded very familiar.
And did he tell you, I guess, kind of like about like working with the NFL and that kind of stuff and the whole, like his time in the CIA and all that?
He did. And it was interesting. It was like, this is wild, like that's pretty cool. But he's humble and he's not like ever bragging or anything like that.
Wait, but he is bragging. Right. He literally made it all up. The CIA, NFL stories aren't true. How could that not be bragging? But that's the impression Eddie gave off. But that's not all. Because Eddie didn't just use made-up stories to get in with the CryptoZoo team. He also used his other connections, his real millionaire and billionaire friends that he's managed to gain with all these fake stories. And some of them vouched for him. People like Chris Birch and Todd Morley.
And what was the thing that kind of like sold you on Eddie? Was it the fact that like Chris and Todd and people like that kind of like have backed him in the past and like?
I'll be right back, chat. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break, and looks like they're gonna have like the pre-roll ads coming back on and stuff here real soon. So I'm just gonna run a few ads while I go and take a leak real quick. I'll be right back.
Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of. Getting so tired, getting so damn tired. Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of. I might wake up at noon, then maybe hit snooze. Yeah, I'ma just do what I want. I don't need no approval, I'ma just do whatever I feel like. Going out all night with my friends, spend the whole day just laying in bed. Please don't mess with my mood, don't say what to do. Yeah, I'ma just do what I want. I'm so goddamn tired of people trying to tell me how to live my life. I'm getting so sick of people trying to tell me what's wrong or right. Losing my patience, I don't care about what you think. No, I'm so goddamn tired of people trying to tell me how to live my life. Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of. Getting so tired. Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of people trying to tell me how to live my life. Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of. Getting so tired. Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of people trying to tell me how to live my life. Don't care about your opinion, none of your business what I be doing. Why do you even bother making up problems? I don't got time for that, no. Could you please just back away? Leave me alone, get out of my face. Don't care about your opinion, none of your business what I be doing. I'm so goddamn tired of people trying to tell me how to live my life. I'm getting so sick of people trying to tell me what's wrong or right. Losing my patience, I don't care about what you think. No, I'm so goddamn tired of people trying to tell me how to live my life. Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of. Getting so tired. Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of people trying to tell me how to live my life. Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of. Getting so tired. Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of people trying to tell me how to live my life. Don't try to tell me how to live my life, live my life. I'll do what I want, and there's nothing you can do about it. Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of.
All right.
Getting so tired, getting so damn tired of people trying to tell me how to live.
Okay. We'll get back to it here.
I think he's a down-to-earth, cool, humble guy.
Okay.
Who's been super successful. They're trying to do an agenda, and he's just kind of like, hey, look, I'm super smart in what I know, and I have amazing relationships through business that I've done.
It's incredible. I mean, how does this guy keep getting away with it? Honestly, it's baffling. But I've got to say, up till now, everyone's been fooled sort of fair and square on the same grounds. But I found out CryptoZoo did have an advantage that could have saved them all this trouble the whole time.
So a month before the launch of CryptoZoo, I got on the phone with Jeff Levin, Logan Paul's manager. And after he spoke fondly of Eddie and his work, I confronted him about some of Eddie's lies, including how he didn't work for the NFL. Jeff told me he doesn't know much about the NFL, but he knows about the business world. And Chris Birch and Todd Morley vouched for Eddie. And so Jeff and Logan were going to continue working with him.
Have you ever verified that anything Eddie said about himself is true?
We verified that it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely talk to people.
Okay.
And his friends and and people that he said he has relationships with, which we've confirmed them for sure.
Okay.
Of course, that's like you apply for a job and you put all your friends as your references on the application. I mean, he's the best employee I've ever had. Oh yeah, I'd hire him again.
Because I had trouble with some of that, like with the NFL, like saying that, like, no, we've never worked with him, and that kind of thing. But you've had
the NFL saying that.
Yeah.
Hi, dropshippers. It's time to focus on what you do best. So go to Wix.
Like who at the NFL?
The comms teams for the Eagles and the Dolphins, and then the people specifically that he named that he said he worked with.
Got it. I don't
I'll keep it rolling here,
Okay.
Chad. I'm gonna go grab something to eat real quick. I'm still
Sure.
hearing everything that's going on, though.
We've definitely, talked to multiple people.
Like Todd and Chris, and they backed him.
Correct.
Wait a second. This means at minimum, Jeff knew about Eddie's background beforehand, or part of it, and still decided to go with it. This is just unbelievable, willful stupidity. And since Jeff is Logan's manager, I assume him and the team should have known about this as well. But still, they went forward with it, even though they knew this stuff before launch. Now, I started to reach out for comments about this because obviously this is a huge deal. But when I did, I got a call from somebody new. Someone with a different perspective that I hadn't heard from before. Jake, the Crypto King. He's been involved with some of Logan's projects in the past.
Here he is, Chad.
Like
Here
Pokemon,
he is.
for
He's
example.
coming up.
He was called the Collectibles Guru a few years ago. Nowadays, he goes by
This is going to
Crypto
play an
King,
important
and
part
he's
here
an
later.
advisor for the Crypto Zoo project. So let's add him to the conspiracy board. But the question is, what did he have to say? I took a call with him, and he mostly wanted to talk off the record. But when I pressed him, he was willing to at least put one thing on the record for me.
Right. One more thing about Eddie before we get off of him. We actually
The biggest reason it failed, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because I don't want it to ever be thought that Logan's the reason it failed. He's not. Logan wasn't smart enough for what he tried to build. And then when it was built and was failing, didn't have the ability to correct it and to save face and reputation. It was more convenient to pull out than to be associated with a failing project that the dev rocked. So I could put that one sentence on the record.
Well, that is certainly emphatic. Crypto King says it's all Eddie's fault. And this is a nice, neat theory for us. You know, Eddie ruined everything because, yeah, Eddie is a liar. So it does seem to explain how these developers got screwed. But this theory doesn't fit all the facts because Eddie was kicked off the team months ago. And still, the game is not working, despite Logan claiming they were going to go back and fix all the problems.
Again, retroactively working to make these projects right, and this just takes time, bro. It just takes time. Development takes time.
Working backwards to fix things, which
Takes
isn't
time, bro. It takes
ideal,
time.
but also this project will speak for itself.
And now, we're working backwards to try to fix it.
This just hasn't happened. Even a year from launch, the game just doesn't exist. What's worse is the newest dev team who came on after Eddie just quit. And one of the reasons was they hadn't been paid for over a month. I know this because Logan's team is leakier than the Titanic and someone told me that, but we also have blockchain evidence. This is Jeff paying Block Ops, the company they hired out on July 19th. They were supposed to redo all this work. It's confirmed by their leader, Skip, talking about a first monthly payment on that day. But after that, there's nothing until they quit on September 26th in a post called Our Departure from CryptoZoo. Now, I do have to say, it does look like they were eventually paid, but only a day after they quit. And this is just the same problem as before, slightly different. Nobody can pay these devs on time, and investors end up getting nothing. And so I can't buy into the idea that Eddie's at fault
In case
for
anyone's
everything,
wondering,
because
I'm eating some
when
cheese
Eddie
ball
was
that
gone,
Mrs. Matrix
they had
made.
a lot of the same problems. Now, it was only at the point that this dev team quit, Block Ops, that things really took a turn. Because if the Titanic was leaking before, now it was sinking, and everyone basically
pretty
gave
good.
up hope. From every direction, I started getting messages from all the investors who felt betrayed, who up to this point were holding on to hope. Now they felt defeated. They felt tricked by the CryptoZoo team who had fed them promise after promise, and they were sick of it.
He was never in the chat or anything, never apologized or told us anything.
Things didn't work out. Things didn't work out. We all get that. But to continue.
Right, like at least give an update every now and then, even if you only do it quarterly. So you're looking at what, 4 updates in a year? How hard is it to do that?
Continuously lie, lead people on, hype people up.
But of course, he didn't want to tell the investors who had already put in, or because they'll spread word around that, everything was sinking. So you want people to continue to invest into it, even though it's not going anywhere.
To put more money in, all the while in the background, things are going down, things are hitting the fan, and we're just holding the bag.
I know it was my decision, and I did my research, but I believe nobody has to lose money in this way.
And that's when a whistleblower stepped forward and decided enough was enough. They decided to leak me messages, team messages, from the CryptoZoo team from all the way back in the beginning when they thought of this idea, all the way up to launch. And seeing that, it changed everything. Because all of a sudden, I got a lot of new information. Remember how Jake, the Crypto King, said Eddie was the only problem? Well, a year ago, he was saying something very different. On the day of launch, he said this to the group. Logan, you stole 40 million in tokens from me. You are a scam artist. You are a liar, and you betrayed your own community. You aren't that guy. Logan replies, oh, Jake, trust me, bro. I am that guy.
Trust me, bro. I am that guy.
You're gonna change the whole story. Yeah, I'll go on the record for you, and yes, I'm gonna show you the text message that said we can sell at these ascending market caps, and that it's not like I was trying to rug a project. It's like I put $250,000 into a project plus 6 months of time, and the founder never did anything he said he was going to do, and then hired a bunch of devs that didn't do what they were going to do. And every time I gave advice, the advice was I was told. So there was nothing illegal about that. Ethically, arguable. The rest that Logan did to me was ethically wrong and illegal.
Okay.
Do you want to learn how to make money from Airbnb without owning any property or
That ends
For
the
the
second
last
video.
6 months, I've been working on my own.
We'll give you whatever, but...
And here's the third.
For the last 6 months, I've been working on my own NFT project.
We've put hundreds of thousands of dollars in it. Personally, the whole team, $1 million plus.
We had an issue with CryptoZoo, where our lead developer.
$1 million in only 6 months, saying the range is insane. $20 to $210 million. It's beautiful wherever we land. Eddie jumped in at this point and talked about how he could sell the project as an investment to a friend, Matt Higgins, saying, quote, he has to spend that $350 million somewhere. Why not us? And Logan says, I love that idea. Crypto King, I'm in. And of course, you have Jeff saying, let's go. So you can see right there, they wanted to sell this game before it had even launched. Now later, Eddie amends the list of investors and says, quote, investors will be Gary Vee, Todd Morley, James Altucher, Ryan Kavanaugh, and others confirmed on my end. Supposedly, they had $100 million of investment interest. Now, I actually went to some of these investors and asked if this was true, and the one person who responded denied it, Ryan Kavanaugh. Quote, nope, not even a little bit. So this looks like it could be yet another lie from Eddie Ibanez, but either way, it looks like there was more issues than just finding investors because the team wanted to pre-sell tokens, and not everyone was sure it would be legal. Jake the Crypto King mentions that, quote, if we have a pre-sale, it opens us up to SEC issues. And Jeff agrees and says, don't want to do anything that brings the SEC eyeballs. Now, not everyone wanted to be so cautious, though. Logan argues everyone does pre-sale with coins. Eddie agrees. He says, you absolutely can do it. I have the SEC down, private and pre-sale. And honestly, it was quite the dilemma for this team who wanted money. You know, do a pre-sale, make millions, but you know, you have these potential legal issues. Don't do it, you make less money. So Crypto King comes up with a middle solution. He says, if we can't sell, no pre-sale. We can still trade them in the liquidity pool. And this is the start of a new disaster, which takes a bit of explaining. Now, just so we're clear, a pre-sale is where you sell investors.
Now, don't forget, this Crypto King guy, 2 years previously was called the Collectibles Guru, all right? Keep that in mind.
Coins, usually at a discount, before you've launched. And then when you launch, you give them those coins. Now, like I said, the team didn't want to do that. So what they did instead was they bought the tokens on the open market right after launch. But they tried to get clever with it because they didn't actually announce that they were launching this coin at all. They stealth launched it on June 11th and didn't announce this token through Logan until August 18th. Meaning they had all that time to silently buy up as much of the supply at a steep discount as they wanted. And the idea here was that doing this, the team could get these tokens extremely cheaply, which is kind of like a pre-sale, but you know, without all the SEC troubles. And Crypto King makes this clear on June 7th when he says, quote, launch of the liquidity pool is where huge money will be made because you get in cheaper. And then says, we, the team, begin buying out the liquidity pool. Once the team has exhausted funds for the liquidity pool buying, we send the contract address to friends, family, investors who want to be able to get in. So obviously the plan is we buy first, then we give it to our close friends and family, and then maybe the public eventually, right? And even the day before, Crypto King reminds everyone, quote, Zoo Day is tomorrow. I highly recommend everyone get a few $100 to a few $1,000s in Zoo when it goes live. It will likely 10 to 1,000x. So that was their plan. Rather than doing a pre-sale, they were going to do this stealth launch and hopefully get tokens cheaply the same way, but without all the legal troubles. Or at least that was the plan.
Good old World of Warships. We know all about that, don't we, Jeff?
Because on stealth launch day,
from people who were here in the beginning,
things first started to go wrong for the team. At first, everything seemed to go normal. The team sat in a circle and literally bought it out as planned. But the next day, Crypto King says something odd. Quote, a bot is playing with our token. Kind of cool to watch them work. But he doesn't mention who this bot is. And he also says the asshole finished selling, but doesn't mention who that is. Now, Jeff, Logan's manager, replies upset. He says, how do we prevent someone doing what they just did again? We went from a $130 million to $26 million market cap in 2 hours. It's not cool to watch. Logan jumps in. Yeah, wait, how did that happen? And he also says, what asshole? How did anyone get this token except for us and none of us sold? And I think actually this is incredibly suspicious because the implication of what Logan's saying is, hey, we tried to scheme this really well. We tried to all buy this without letting anyone know. How did anyone else figure out we were buying it, right? And this is where a fight ensues that's going to become really interesting. Crypto King deflects the question by saying, my buyer pushed it back up to $40 million. And Logan says, no, bro, F your buyer. Explain to me what just happened and how there were 30 token holders. And Jake tries to explain that this was just traders and bots happening.
Bear in mind, there was only like 7 or 8 of them that were buying this token to begin with.
To find the token. But Logan says only 5 of us knew about it. Jake says, well, many people chase volume and new tokens. And to some extent, he's kind of right.
Wow.
But Logan replies, cap. He doesn't believe it. Quote, I can't be the only one who thinks that's too incredibly convenient. Like someone was tipped off. And look, no one's more critical of Logan than me. But as I'm reading these texts, I was kind of like agreeing. Like, yeah, it does seem too nonchalant when somebody's ruining your secret plot. You know what I mean? Because Crypto King was acting very strange. He says, we created $40 million out of thin air. This is a success. Logan replies, this nonchalance worries me. F 40 million. It was at 120 million, which again, it's all about the money with these guys. But truth be told, I did agree that Crypto King's attitude seemed strange in these texts. I mean, he's not wrong that bots are a thing. Traders are a thing. But it sounded like he didn't want anyone to look into it. So, naturally, I looked into it. And what I found surprised me, because there were bots, but there's also unusual human activity during this time. So I tracked the 5 biggest buyers of this Zoo coin. And lo and behold, this is what I found. Logan was one of the biggest buyers, which is what you'd expect, but he wasn't the biggest. In fact, 2 of the biggest wallets seem to be associated with Crypto King himself. And here's where I paused. I said, wait a second. Why did this guy buy more Zoo tokens than Logan when this is mostly Logan's project? I thought Crypto King was a small part of this team. And so to get more info on this, I actually got access to an internal meeting note from the day of June 11th, which they called Zoo Day. And in it, we find actually some interesting information. We see that 5 founders bought in. They apparently were, quote, trading in circles until each person maxed out. But on the list of buyers and how much they spent are only 4 people, when we know 5 people bought. We have Danny, Logan's assistant, for 20K, Logan Paul for 100K, Jeff at 100K, and Eddie at 100K, but Crypto King is nowhere to be found. And yet, on the blockchain, I have him putting in $200,000 worth. And this number, by the way, seemingly is confirmed in a conversation I had with Crypto King, where he said, my 200K investment. And the reason this is important is because it does imply that something shady was going on the day of the stealth launch. because Crypto King had a relatively small role in this whole project. He was the advisor, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Like you can see from the internal meeting notes, they have a breakdown of who's getting what in terms of founder tokens. And like Logan Paul's getting 51%, Eddie's getting 30%, Jeff's getting 10%. Jake's only getting 5% of tokens, but he has the most of these like stealth launch tokens, which makes no sense. And it got me thinking that maybe what explains this suspicious behavior around like, oh, don't worry about who was buying at the time of the launch. Maybe that's explained because perhaps no one knew that he was buying up large parts of the token supply. Maybe he was buying it to sell later. Now, of course, that's speculation. So that's why I confronted Crypto King on all of this. But before we get to that call, let's address the elephant in the room. Logan didn't accuse Crypto King of being a scam. It was the other way around. Crypto King told Logan Paul he was a scammer. And the question is, why? Well, to answer that, we have to go from June, the stealth launch date, to September 1st, the official launch date of CryptoZoo.
September 1st, cryptozoo.co.
Now, the day of the launch was a bit strange because you might think, well, they already have a token, right? But the first thing they did was actually create a new Zoo token with a different code, but the same name. And they actually airdropped all the holders of the first Zoo token with an identical amount of those coins on the second Zoo token. So you might be wondering, why did they do that? Well, maybe it's to change the smart contract, but maybe it's because of what they did do. They blacklisted some of the holders. In other words, they didn't airdrop to everyone, including Jake the Crypto King. They excluded his wallets so it couldn't get these Zoo coins. Jake texts the group about this the next day, saying, quote,
"Imagine what would happen if every person in the United States suddenly visited your website. Would it crash?"
The Zoo team made a major error this weekend. They chose not to communicate, mint a new token, and airdrop it to whatever wallets they determined fit. This decision came from Eddie and Logan, and I had no part in it. 11,250 wallets before the airdrop, under 11,000 after. They chose to blacklist and ban over 200 wallets. Now, who those wallets are, I have no idea. But he continues, quote, "As a founder like Logan, Jeff, Eddie, and Danny, I had purchased a large quantity of tokens. 5+ of my wallets had been blacklisted from the original team's buys." Now, I don't know why he had 5+ wallets there, but okay. He says 80+ billion Zoo tokens were confiscated from me to date without any communication. So, wow. That's why Crypto King accused Logan of stealing from him or scamming. It's because he was frozen out of a lot of his wallets. And then we get to the text you guys all know. He says, "Logan, you stole $40 million. You're a scammer. You're a con artist, all that stuff. You betrayed your community. The reality is you aren't that guy." And Logan responds, "Oh, Jake, trust me, bro. I am that guy." Q, in the arms of an angel. And look, I mean, what do we make of this? Well, I don't know. I can't root for either of these guys because it sounds like Logan stabbed him in the back, but it sounds like Crypto King may have stabbed him in the back in the first place, right? Because it does appear like he bought tokens that maybe everyone didn't know about. So I'm really not a fan of anyone in this situation. And by the way, this whole thing was structured so misleadingly from the beginning. I have to talk to you a bit about it because you might think that these tokens were the only tokens they had, but it's not even true. In the distribution section of Zoo's white paper, they say there's 2 trillion tokens, and a quarter of that are allocated to development, marketing, and founders. Those aren't even the tokens we're talking about right now, because they claim that those tokens were locked up for 6 months, and then afterwards, 10% was unlocked every month. And if that's true, there would be no reason for these funds to be blacklisted, right? Why would you blacklist something that would be locked up? And the answer is because, well, the founders had more than one set of tokens. Not only did they supposedly have these founder tokens that were locked up and couldn't be sold, these stealth launch tokens were different from that. It's like a whole different thing. And the tokens that they bought, that all of these guys bought, they could sell at basically any time because they weren't locked up, which is a massive problem. And this fact was explicitly laid out in their meeting notes.
So bottom line, Logan Paul and his team come up with a crypto scam. Logan Paul ends up getting scammed by one of the crypto scammers, the Crypto King, who then he scams back next time around during the actual launch with the second version of the coin. and all that. And that's where we're at so far.
With only one rule. They say, quote, no selling until $200 million market cap, and don't impact the market more than 3%, and not impact the market more than 10% in a day. And by the way, this is basically conspiracy to manipulate a market. You know, they're literally having insider rules for how to sell, but we're going to look past that, right? Because these rules eventually kind of changed. A text from Logan's manager, Jeff Levin, came to the group chat, Zoo Founders, saying, guys, new and absolute rules. No one is to sell or transfer any zoo. Logan's going to make the call when we can make moves. And Logan replies, your tokens do not leave your wallet. This is a game. Now, that all sounds well and good. Don't sell your tokens, but the reality was, I mean, they're just kind of trusting each other because these tokens that they're talking about, they're unlocked. They're not locked up, and they could sell it at any time. And I guess the question on my mind is that why Crypto King's tokens were blacklisted? Because they thought he would sell? Or maybe it's just the fact they found out he bought and they didn't know about all those tokens. It's honestly hard to say without knowing more evidence. And this is where we're going to jump into the blockchain. Now, I've tracked the wallets of the entire team and identified the largest seller of Zoo in the team. And it wasn't Jeff. It wasn't Danny. It wasn't even Logan. It was Crypto King. Crypto King sold, by my calculations, millions of dollars. And I know what you're thinking, how's that possible, right? I thought his tokens were blacklisted the day of the official launch. How could he sell that much? Well, the answer is that not all of his tokens were blacklisted. He had even more tokens behind the scenes. And what's worse, the CryptoZoo team actually gave him back a lot of his blacklisted tokens, which I guess you can see as a good thing or a bad thing because he then turned around and sold those tokens, right? And from my blockchain analysis across his blacklisted tokens he got back and the tokens that he had squirreled away the whole time, he ended up making $6 million. He did this by sending out tokens from these larger wallets to dozens of smaller wallets, selling it, and then sending the money to final cash out wallets. So he used those final wallets to calculate the amount he made. Now, I know, look, it's a lot to accuse someone of selling $6 million in a project that doesn't even work. It's a giant scam. So I wanted to give him a chance to defend himself. So I got on a call with Crypto King, and here's what he said when I finally revealed.
All right, before we get into this, check this out. Crypto King had the name of the collectibles guru before, right? If we go to Logan Paul's YouTube, you can't see this here. Let me move this out of the way. But you see this this video right here. I lost $3.5 million fake Pokemon cards. Okay. I'll give you one guess who they bought those Pokemon cards off of. Right? Collectibles guru, aka Crypto King. The dude he hired to, advise on this project. How are you gonna sit there and, point fingers? And, like I said before, the dude's a 27-year-old dude. He got rich young. He's like just way out of touch with reality and, doesn't take responsibility for anything. Plain and simple. Not that one. There we go.
That I knew he had sold.
It's gonna change this whole fucking story. Yeah, I'll go on the record for you, and yes, I'm gonna show you the text message that say we can sell at these ascending market caps, and literally, I'm gonna 100%. It sounds like your biggest issue with me is that I sold, and if that's your biggest issue with me, that's the truth.
If you're a homeowner, come take a look at this. If you have a utility meter like this on the side of your
Wow, that is a big admission. Selling tokens for a project that you're an advisor on when the project has never been delivered. Although Crypto King insists that it wasn't $6 million and he wasn't trying to rug a project. In fact, really, he might be the one who got screwed over in all of this.
Like, I did sell. I didn't sell $6 million worth. That's going to be other wallets, but that's probably not going to be able to be able to be proven, except for them saying, can you send BNB to all these different wallets for me? Which that I'll be able to show you that I was giving BNB to the whole team. I'll also be able to show you that I was a 5% holder of the Zoo tokens that I was promised to be given over the 3-month period, was never given. I can also show you that I was frozen out and was never given the 15 billion tokens back that I paid for in cash.
Okay.
I'll show you all of those things on the record, and then you can also say that I did sell, which is also true.
Yep.
As long as it's accompanied with he was a founder that was supposed to be given 5% of the project and was never given the token or paid, worked for almost a year on the project. As long as that goes in with it, then at least that tells my side of the story so people understand that it's not like I was trying to rug a project. It's like I put $250,000 into a project plus 6 months of time, and the founder never did anything he said he was going to do, and then hired a bunch of devs that didn't do what they were going to do. And every time I gave advice, the advice was I was told to fuck off. So it can be that story, or it can be he sold all this amount and he got in early. Well, yeah, that's like 1% of it though.
Incredible. He sounds like he views himself as the victim, or at least like he got screwed too, which just has to win the gold medal for me for mental gymnastics, because I mean, he literally had put $200,000 into this and he says he made millions of dollars. Even if you take him.
So in other words, this dude scammed the whole, founders of this team by millions by doing what he did. And that's probably part of the reason why the devs never got paid.
At his word that he didn't make the full 6 million, he admits to me later that it might be.
Bear in mind, he had already scammed Jake Paul out of $3.5 million on the Pokemon cards because he was the collectibles guru. Now he's the crypto king.
Pretty close guess. He tells me via text, quote, I don't care if you tell people I sold a few million and leave it at that. Well, okay, $6 million, a few $1 million, it's millions of dollars, right? Millions of dollars when you only put in $200,000 into a project that's never been delivered, doesn't work, scammed people out of their money. How is he saying he's the one who's in the wrong? Well, in his view, what he did was not wrong. It might have been arguably unethical, but it wasn't illegal. And what Logan did, well, that was illegal.
You can say the timing was bad and it was inappropriate to sell, but the reality is I bought tokens open market and sold them open market. So there was nothing illegal about that. Ethically, arguable. The rest that Logan did to me was ethically wrong and illegal.
Now, what do I think of all this finger pointing? Well, I think it's pretty wild to try to make yourself look like the lesser of two evils when you made millions of dollars and investors lost millions. I just
True.
Now, at the same time, I want to be fair to Crypto King. He's not the only one who sold here. But I also have to say, not everyone from the founders did sell. For example, Jeff, Logan's manager, to my knowledge, never sold. Neither did Logan Paul, which was a huge surprise. All their wallets that I tracked, held on to their tokens, which is good. And to their credit for a game that doesn't work. But you know who did sell? Eddie Ibanez. The guy who didn't pay the initial devs, the supposed MIT orphan. Yeah, from what I could see, his initial wallet got a ton of Zoo, sent it to a bunch of smaller wallets, and then sold off, kind of like Crypto King. And for my calculations, he made about $1.7 million. Now, I have to tell you that like Jake, I tried to confront him and give him the opportunity to defend himself, but he never replied to my emails or my phone calls, and we're just gonna have to leave it there. But we're not done with the money just yet, because we still need to talk about the eggs. Remember, we talked about how they profited from ZooCoin, but they also made millions from eggs. According to their own internal meeting notes, they plan to make about $3 million selling these eggs for 0.1 ETH a piece. And that's not far from what I calculated they actually did make, which was about $2.5 million. In the meeting notes, they say they're gonna clear expenses and then do payouts. But pay out who? They don't say. And these expenses are referencing an earlier note suggesting Eddie and Logan had both spent $300,000 each, which I'll say is not $1 million, but okay, we'll give it to them, right? So they got paid back their $600,000, but where does the rest of the money go? Well, on the Ethereum side, there's one payout for $364,000 to one wallet and another $1 million to another. Both are Coinbase addresses, so we don't know who exactly that is, but clearly someone on the team made a lot of money from these NFT egg sales that do not work. And on the Binance Smart Chain side, where they also made money selling eggs, the zoo that was spent was supposed to be set aside for 50% to be burned, which they did, but the other 50% was supposed to be allocated for wildlife charities and crypto zoo development. Now, neither seems to have happened because all the money is in a wallet that the team still controls, so there are open questions about, where that money is going to go and where the Ethereum money went. Did it go to Jake? Did it go to Logan? Did it go to Jeff? Did it go to Eddie? We don't know. But what I know for sure is that no one was innocent, although there are certainly shades of guilt you can argue about, because of course, not everyone did sell. You could look at that as the most important thing. Logan Paul didn't sell. Jeff, Logan's manager, didn't sell. But does that make them innocent? Well, I don't think so, because they never built a game they promised people. Logan Paul specifically got millions of dollars spent on this game on the promise of the technology that he...
And he'll go into this in a little bit here, but apparently, like when it came to, hatching the eggs and into the animals and all this, that, and the other, supposedly it did work for a short time, but it was so buggy that they just stopped it, and then never did anything to fix it.
He never built.
Just
that his
throwing
team
that in
never
there.
built, and he never addressed the failure except to blame his developers who weren't paid. And you could say he promised to work backwards to fix it, but then never did. But at the same time, it's clearly not just Logan's fault either, because there are major team issues, right? You've got Eddie selling millions of dollars of zoo and then allegedly not paying developers. You've got Jeff, who was warned about Eddie, who kept him on the team anyways, and then after they fired Eddie, seems to also have failed to pay developers on time. And then you've got Crypto King himself, who sold the most, but claims he was the guy who was scammed, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's just like Avengers Assemble for the worst possible team you can imagine to build a crypto game. And so, unsurprisingly, it turns out
and I think Asmongold said it best, like they assembled the entire Suicide Squad of crypto, like all of the absolute worst possible people that you could have, Logan hired. So, and I'm not saying that Logan Paul is necessarily a bad guy or anything, but like I said before, he's a 27-year-old dude. He got famous and got rich and famous like early in life, got all this money. He's not really in touch with reality or responsibility or, normal things that normal people do. And, he's expecting other people to do this stuff, which to a degree I understand. If you're wanting to create some sort of project like this and all of that, but to sit there and not take any responsibility for any of it, like, nah. And then what was he just saying
who
here?
was scammed, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's just like Avengers Assemble for the worst possible team you can imagine to build a crypto.
Okay, and then the other thing I was going to say, besides assembling the Suicide Squad of crypto together, right, was you're wanting to be this internet personality, this influencer, and all this and that and the other, but you're not wanting to put the blame on yourself. Okay. But that's when someone needs to be sitting there across from him, interviewing him, and saying, so either what you're telling your community, all the people that follow you, is that either you're sitting there and misrepresenting yourself to your entire community, or did I say A or B? Okay, let's say that's A, okay? Or B, you're so naive that nobody should be following any project that you do because you're not competent enough to handle it. It's just plain and simple. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry when you look at it from that perspective. Okay, that was just my thought on it.
Crypto gang. And so, unsurprisingly, it turns out a lot of these guys backstabbed each other. And so, finding a way to wrap this up was difficult because it's hard to assign exact proportions of blame. Because if you focus on any one person, you kind of miss why this project failed. CryptoZoo, at the end of the day, did not fail because the price went too low. CryptoZoo failed because they never built a functioning game that they promised. Really, the number one problem, even bigger than people selling millions of dollars of tokens, was that they never paid the developers on time. As boring as that is. And as a result, the investors not only got rugged for millions of dollars, which is a problem.
That's the
but
thing. The people
didn't get
making
the core
this
thing
stuff,
they had bought from the beginning,
mean...
which was not a crypto project, but something different.
I'm excited to launch my game.
You keep using and you just did it again. You keep using a word there, game. You're not using like a project. It's a game.
It's a game. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
That's it. That to me is the biggest scam in all of this. Yes, it's a huge problem. People stole millions of dollars, but it's a symptom of the larger issue, which is people didn't actually care about the game or this, whatever you want to call it. They just cared about the money.
Right.
And this is ultimately what happens when you have an influencer LARPing as a businessman. It's what happens when you have a liar LARPing as a developer. And it's what happens when you have a shady crypto guru LARPing as a crypto king. You end up with a mess. And in my personal opinion, a fraud as well. And now that this thing blew up in their faces, these four seem to be dodging accountability faster than SBF dodges calls with me. Because I have reached out to everyone involved. I've tried to get all of their statements on things. So far, no one has taken accountability or offered to refund the victims at all. They're all hiding, pretending these victims don't even exist. But they do exist. And throughout my investigations, they've been the heartbeat of this whole thing. So I decided to close this investigations in a bit of a unique way. Rather than me deciding who's to blame or me deciding what you should think, I want to give them the last word.
Everyone's to blame. Logan, in the sense of his poor management, is his project. He still made these promises to people.
I think everyone it is to blame, including Logan Paul, of course, because he was the one in charge of this, and he was responsible for all of this mess.
And you know, that's kind of the thing. Even if you're not the person who's doing the development or this and that and the other, like, you're still the figurehead, and as the figurehead, you're the one that's, you know, announcing to the public about this project happening and this and that and the other to get people to invest into it. At the same time, it's kind of a double-edged sword, you know, where this is kind of all went sideways and whatnot. Like, most of the blame like does go to you, and it was his project. And he was the one that should have taken responsibility for it, which now of course he's saying that, you know, him and his team are working on, you know, making the game functional and this and that and the other. Well, now they have no choice but to make the game functional. Otherwise it opens them up to fraudulent lawsuits.
Yes.
Everybody has a big part and a massive cross to bear.
Each one of them scammed the project in their own way, and then off to the sunset they went.
It was his job to check the team, to make sure that everyone is working together, to make sure that he is giving the funds of the people that put it into his project under his name to people that he actually trusts. So in my opinion, if the team failed to perform, that's Logan Paul to blame.
The community is destroyed. People is angry. They just want their money back. They just want their normal lives back.
Reimburse those loyal fans that they have, or try to rebuild the project, actually deliver on the project. For those who are still holding their eggs, like I am, or for those holding the Zoo coins. So maybe they could just deliver what they promised, and that would give some redemption to this fiasco.
He's not said a word. That's as bad, or almost as bad, as taking the money. It's the not coming out and just being a man about it.
At least we deserve to know what was happening behind the scenes while we were waiting for almost a year and a half. The fact that we're hearing this information not from Logan Paul, but from pretty much an investigator, it really says a lot.
What did this loss mean to me? it meant a lot, not just personally because I lost quite a lot of money. My kid and also my wife were invested. It was like
That's one thing. If you want to invest in something, fine, but like, don't get your kids involved in that kind of crap. That's like taking your kid to the freaking casino. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh well, let's see. What do you want to put on this table? I'll do it for you. You know, because they can't gamble, or I don't know if you can even get a kid into a casino, but maybe you can with a parent. I don't know. I don't run a casino, but probably at most casinos you can't. But I'm sure there are some that you can. But that's just like doing that. It's just like letting your kid, gamble and piss all your money away.
telling a kid that Santa doesn't exist or something like that because she really believed in all that game. She really believed in Logan Paul. Kids look up to that kind of people. So it was some kind of broken dream.
My mum was invested. My sister was also invested. So, I mean, my daughter even had a couple of the eggs and animals, which the loss for them hurts the most because obviously it's just not nice to see.
For somebody to win, somebody has to lose. That's a gamble you take, whether you get into crypto or not. I got in knowing that I could lose.
Yep.
Which is fine. That's on me. But I thought if I lost something, it would be because I sold at the wrong time, or the game didn't earn as much as I thought it would, and therefore my things weren't as valuable. But you never go into it thinking it's not something that they're going to just sell out from underneath you, because they could make so much more if they actually delivered on what they said, even if they delivered on close to what they said. And that's the thing, is you don't think they're going to rug you because there was so much money in a game wallet.
And the problem here is, you get into something like this crypto here. Like I said, the blockchain technology, like, it does have value. Like, I'm not sure how it's going to be applicable in the future. And then when you get into a market like this that's completely unregulated, it completely opens it up to these scalpers and scammers and stuff that are, just out there ready to pounce on this, and for a lot of these people, it's just unfortunate. I've got friends, myself, one in particular, he's got a gambling problem for sure. As a matter of fact, he just made some money tonight on one of the wild card games, but but there are people, that especially in this world of technology and everything else, that are really into that instant gratification type deal. And I think for a lot of people, gambling is that instant gratification for them. I find it sad of anyone thinking that it's a smart investment, to get into this sort of thing. And I think it's extremely sad when, you see the celebrities promoting it and stuff. I know, what was it? I believe it was about a year and a half ago, something like that. I remember Ashton Kutcher like pushing Ethereum to people like crazy, like, oh, Ethereum's going to be the next big thing, after Bitcoin, because there's only going to be so many Bitcoins, but there's going to be a ton more Ethereum and this and that and the other. And I remember him specifically talking about that. And then you got you got all these different gambling things now they're making it, gambling less taboo, I guess you could say, in around the country, by having all these stuff like DraftKings and what's the other one? There's like another big one too. I think that one had it was either I can't remember if Kevin Hart was doing the DraftKings one, or if he was doing the other one. And I think it was Kevin Hart and uh old boy from the second Amazing Spider-Man movie, singer, actor, can't remember his name. But I think they were doing the other one, and they're just trying to normalize this stuff. And I feel like they're just, let me put it this way. I feel that life right now is hard enough as it is. And then to have these people just waiting to pounce and leech these people absolutely bone dry is just utterly ridiculous. I hate it so much. I hate it so much, man. All right.
Ultimately, at the end, the way I see it is it was fraud. Logan could have put out the red flags, told people to stop investing more into it, because people were investing into this project until the very last minute, where the ship was still just sinking down the ocean, and people were still putting their cash into it.
If I was on a call with Logan Paul, I would ask him, where did his redemption arc go? I think he was on such a good streak going about his YouTube career and boxing as well. And it's sad to see that because of money, once again, we have degraded down to stealing from his viewers.
What would I say to Logan Paul and his team if I could? Well, actually, I could, because I have an NFT from other project that gives me the right to see Logan Paul, to meet and greet with him. And I will actually use that right to tell him this story again, show him this video in front of me, and see how he reacts when he sees that my family, my whole family and my kid are affected with this situation, because I think that's not human.
You would think that Logan would have...
Again, he keeps talking about his kid and this and that and the other. I honestly have no sympathy for that, because you're the one that got your kid involved. Even if he was a follower of Logan Paul or something, you should have been the parent and been like, yeah, nah, I don't think so.
Would have told his fellow followers, his loyal fans, that, hey guys, back off, red flag, things are, there's turbulence in the water. No, not a single word, nothing whatsoever.
To market products at children, and knowing full well that his team is made up of people that he believes are shady characters. Yeah, he still goes on Forbes interviews and says the game is great for kids. It's gonna be amazing.
Who loves it most? The kids. Their kids love it.
Our developers' kids, all of them, cannot stop playing the game.
I think that is inhumane, the way that's.
And yet never wants to take responsibility for his own project. But we're going to get to it.
Side of it's been marketed.
Knowing what's happened since. Knowing that.
All right, that pretty much concludes that one. We don't need to watch the rest. Okay. So here's a tweet that Logan Paul actually did just recently. Said, and this was the 13th, so this was a couple days ago. It says, my 3-step plan for CryptoZoo, including a $1.3 million rewards program for disappointed players. 1.3 million. I guarantee you, everyone that invested into this thing has a total of more than 1.3 million. Okay, because we already know Crypto King got out with pretty much like almost $6 million or something like that. We know he had millions, and he only put 200 grand into it. So we already know old Crypto King got out on an up and up. And then, but anywho, he had is this that video? that he had in response, or is this the podcast? I can't remember.
You look like a piece to the people that are like, yo, this guy sitting on millions of dollars, always trying to get attention. And now he doesn't give a about us. So he's not going to speak out about it until this other dude's going to speak out. And now this is going to talk now.
Okay, this is the actual video, but he had a response to CoffeeZilla on his Twitter feed, and it was a video. It's this one. Okay, it's this one here. Oh, video unavailable now. Okay, so he's actually taken this video down off of Twitter, but basically, like, he's sitting there threatening litigation, you know, at the very end, obviously. I'll see you in court. And he's like, I'm not coming on your show or whatever, but he invites him to, you know, his podcast, then threatens him with litigation and says, I'll see you in court and this, that, and the other. So now he's taken that video down off of YouTube or Twitter or whatever. And bear in mind, Logan Paul's audience is much bigger than CoffeeZilla's. I mean, let's just see his Twitter alone. How many followers does he even have on Twitter? Does it say? He's got 6 million followers just on Twitter, not including YouTube. And CoffeeZilla, as we talked about earlier, only has like 2.5 million, and that's up 1 million from where he was at after this 3-piece docu-series came out. So, I mean, it's just absolutely terrible. But we'll get into Impulsive here, since we can't watch the response video now that he had to CoffeeZilla, and it was just absolutely degrading. And it didn't put him in a good light at all, and even his community absolutely trashed that video. You know, it wasn't it wasn't anything comprehensible. It wasn't an apology. It was just absolutely offensive to not only CoffeeZilla, but Logan Paul's entire community. Actually, I'll tell you what, though, before we get into that, I gotta take another bathroom break. So I'll do that real quick, and then I'll be right back. Whoa, what was the camera doing? Oh. All right, be right back, chat. Sorry about that, chat.
Great question.
Very good question.
The answer
Great question.
is heartbreaking, George. I'll get emotional even speaking about it just now, right now, but this is what broke me. To the #1 podcast in the world, George, you turn 30 tomorrow.
Easier.
He spoke to me, and we're going to get into that. Lot to cover this episode of Impulsive. If you are tuning in just now and you missed the tail end of December, a lot had happened. I believe the last Boys Only episode we were on, I said some pretty harsh things to George about his beliefs and religion overall.
And here soon, his buddy Mike is going to say he's playing devil's advocate, but then he goes on talking about crap that doesn't even matter. But this other guy that's sitting over in the entire gray sweatsuit here on the left, this dude actually gives him some serious questions.
Overall, that people were unhappy about. And the following week, a YouTuber named CoffeeZilla made a 3-part series that he had spent a year making called Investigating Logan Paul's Biggest Scam. That caught a lot of traction. He put a lot of work into it, and it was a very well-made series. So today I'll be going on record for the first time in over a year to talk about the...
And he says going on record for the first time when he put out his response video that it is no longer available. It was at the same time that this podcast was being made.
The debacle
just throwing that in there.
Zoo, and then what we're doing to move forward. If you have not seen the video that I also released in tandem today with this episode, it's essentially a statement that I
did
made,
not make him look
about
better at all.
The scam allegations and the scam accusations, because that's some pretty serious shit. I take that very seriously. So if you have not watched that video, I ask you to do that first. But it is a little difficult to dive into it because we know you guys watch Impulsive for fun, laughs, giggles, maybe like the guests we have on our show. And today we're going to be talking about some pretty serious stuff. So if you're not tuned into it, maybe this isn't the episode for you, but it's time this stuff is addressed, and today's the episode for that.
I think by mid episode we'll.
Just so you know, chat, the camera may stop moving in about an hour or so. Batteries starting to get low already. Those batteries only last about 3 hours, so I have a couple of new batteries that I have for the slider, but they I forgot where I put them. Basically.
Get into some other stuff, but obviously like this has to be handled, and it's been a rocky end of 2022 and a rocky start for the beginning of 2023. I'm sure tremendously for you, but also for anybody on this team. I'm going to try to take the reins of the opposing viewpoint today, as I generally do on the show. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions that may be, I don't know, easy, hard to answer, whatever.
And he's just gone, and
it was something.
And he asked questions that are just
can I give context to this
question.
So
no substance.
First off, I don't know what you're going to ask. I haven't seen these questions.
Sure. I know.
Did you send them to him? You sent them to him, and then I'm sure probably maybe you have some. Anyways, let me give some context to this situation. CryptoZoo is a blockchain project that I created about a year and a half ago, and the question everyone's going to be asking is why now? Why talk about this series or this project right now? So again, this YouTuber named CoffeeZilla released a 3-part series. He spent a year making it, and I'll be honest, it was very good. He is entertaining, and he's a very good storyteller. I mean, essentially, if you're making content on YouTube, I assume it's to get views and to get people watching your stuff. I get what he's doing.
And what Logan Paul's doing here is, a lot like what you see like abusive boyfriends doing to the women that they date, and they'll sit there and give them compliments and stuff, and to detract from like the terrible stuff they're getting about ready to say. You know,
doing. If you put my name in the title and you label it Logan Paul scam, you're going to get more views. The problem with it is that is not true. And I've made tweets here and there stating my case, but I'm going to give some context with the back and forth that I've had with CoffeeZilla. So here are some receipts. Again, just for context. His name's Steven. The first time he reached out to me was on Christmas Eve after he released his series. He sent a misleading email as highlighted in my statement. He invited me on his show to come talk about CryptoZoo. I chose not to do that because it is now clear to me that he's milking this. Again, why would he not? This is big for him. He caught a lot of traction. He gained like 500,000.
And here Logan Paul is going to say like he just got a hold of him like on Christmas Eve and stuff. And CoffeeZilla actually has evidence of when he tried to get a hold of him back in October of 2021. So that had actually been going on that long, not the way that Logan Paul is getting about ready to explain it.
Subscribers, and I'm sure he got a decent amount of money pumping his Patreon. But I am not interested in feeding into that anymore. So we'll be answering the questions that hopefully he was going to ask me and that you're going to ask me today on this podcast.
He's getting about ready to ask him some
I invited him on Impulsive multiple times, and he has not responded. My email to him on December 27th was, hey, Steven, saw your tweet. Since this entire narrative has unfolded on your platform, I can't imagine you'd mind having this discussion with me on mine. Of course, we wouldn't monetize. This episode of Impulsive is scheduled for January 2nd in LA. We can consider a neutral location if you respond to this email by the weekend. Best logs. He did not respond to me. So I tweeted that saying I hadn't heard back, so I'd be releasing a statement. And then he sent me an email after I called him out and a text, which I thought was weird, like a cold text. Hey, Logan, recently got your number. This is CoffeeZilla. I'm forwarding the same message I sent to your email here as well. Hey, Logan, I saw your tweet saying I haven't responded, but that isn't accurate. I asked you for a comment multiple times over the course of a year. You refused. I invited you on my platform. You refused. You invited me on Impulsive. I refused. We're unfortunately at an impasse, so let me try to get us unstuck here because I think people deserve to hear from both of us.
Well, I mean, of course he would refuse to be on his podcast because he threatened him with litigation. I mean, why are you going to sit there and go on somebody else's platform when their entire response to you is just threatening litigation? And, you know, like I said, just like an abusive boyfriend, you sit there and give a compliment to help detract from the awful shit you're about to say. I mean,
of us. I'd like to offer you a co-live streamed interview about CryptoZoo to respond on tomorrow at 10 a.m. PST, so no one has to travel on the holidays. So there's no editing and just us talking one-on-one. This is the most fair and neutral way to do this. I will send you a video link if you agree. Here was my response. I sent him an email after I posted my my statement. Hey, Steven, just wanted to put my response to your scam allegations on your radar, linked below. Even though you broke laws, hardly substantiated your evidence, fabricated dangerously misleading falsehoods, and wrongfully accused me of scamming my fans, I'd still love to host you on Impulsive, again, unmonetized. It can even be one-on-one. Sorry, boys. I'm interested in talking about your workflow, creative process, and of course, CryptoZoo. I did get your email 2 days ago after I called out your failure to respond on Twitter regarding the live stream invitation, and you said, I asked you for comment multiple times over the course of a year, you refused. And
which again, he did. He proved that the very first time he tried to get a hold of him was October of 2021, which he never got a response.
Proof of that, or is this another lie? I searched my emails and didn't see any outreach from you until Christmas Eve 2022. You scrubbed the blockchain for a living and somehow managed to text my personal phone number yesterday. I can't imagine you didn't know / have my professional email. I do agree people deserve to hear from both of us, but truthfully, now that your motives are clear, I don't feel like feeding into your hunger for clout on your platforms. You've profited off of and gained plenty from me. I've said everything I've needed to say. The rest will be...
Okay, it says he used his face and his name to make a profit and get views and stuff. You know who else uses his name and his face to make a profit? Logan Paul.
Handled legally and on Impulsive with or without you while we continue to build CryptoZoo. The holidays are over, so I look forward to hearing back in a timely fashion this time. My January schedule is packed. Best logs.
Why did you sign off his logs, by the way? There was a lot of shit for that.
I saw that.
Maybe
I think it's easy to
See, here we go. Why'd you sign off his logs, by the way? Who gives a shit what he signs off as? You know, watch. It's all puff. But the guy on the left, he's gonna actually give him some questions. Watch.
pick apart anything I do.
and people are for sure. It's been happening the entire time.
That's my sign off. I've been signing off like that since high school.
like
my nickname,
like
everyone calls
floating
me
pieces of
Logs.
wood.
My
Who
name is
cares?
Logan. My nickname
Yeah,
is
it makes
Log.
sense.
It's like
Listen, I said I'm going to play
irrelevant.
The other side's asking why logs. Can we, besides all the correspondence, that's a lot of correspondence.
That's where we left off, and I do think it's important because, and if you watch my video,
And it's
hopefully-
nothing but a
hopefully you're
puff
seeing
question
this.
because it's absolutely
The guy
irrelevant. Who cares?
Is good. He is a very good storyteller. I think he probably has an inherent bias against me, which is reflective in his work and in his piece, which unfortunately has repercussions. If you are,
Which actually wasn't true. CoffeeZilla previously stated, that he was actually a fan of Logan Paul's before all this situation happening. So that's actually wrong.
you are perpetuating falsehood, and it's a
Falsehood of what? Again, like when he was on the phone with the manager, and the manager was saying, "Oh, well, legally, blah 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 blah." Well, he's not, like a syndicated news broadcaster on some network. He's a guy on the internet. That does this stuff. It's for entertainment value. Like I said, the only way you would have any issue is if you're saying something slanderous, with which nothing that he said or the people that he interviewed said was slanderous. The people that he interviewed were all talking about their opinions and their experience with the whole CryptoZoo game and, the NFTs for the game, this, that, and the other. So there was nothing in there that was, slanderous at all. Like I said, the only gray area was when he was on the phone with the manager. And like I said, California has the two-way call thing where you have to let somebody know that you're recording, where CoffeeZilla's in Texas where you don't have to do that, but at the same time announce to that manager that he was Steven with CoffeeZilla, pretty much as kind of like a reporter, which I think is a strong implication that the conversation is going to be recorded. And at first, old boy said he didn't have anything to comment, and then he kept on yapping, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's the only gray area of it. Otherwise, CoffeeZilla, I don't think did anything wrong talking about anything that had to do with CryptoZoo, right?
affecting someone's business and reputation, and it's affecting the wrong person's business and reputation. That
he pretty much did that himself. CoffeeZilla just pointed it out and gave a lot of the people that didn't have a voice about what was going on a platform to have their voice heard.
That person may take action.
So let's right off the bat, as early as possible here, talk about the two definitions and the two things that are at play. One of them being a scam, the other one being defamation, which can be libel or slander. So if someone scams a person or an organization, they deceive them in order to get something valuable for them, especially money. That is the definition of.
Doesn't that sound like exactly what Logan Paul did? That's the definition of a scam. Hang on, let me go back. Let's go back. Let's watch it again.
So if someone scams a person or an organization, they deceive them in order to get something valuable for them, especially money. That is the definition of scam. So my first question, and this question was answered in his series, it was a 5-second blip that was a part of a probably hour-long of documentary, filmmaking, was how much money did you make off the sale of the coin?
And again, he'll say that, he didn't make any money and all that, which is completely believable. completely believable. But at the same time, you can't say that you didn't scam anybody. You already had a shadow launch of the first coin, first of all, which, you know, there's reasons that they have like insider trading laws and this and that and the other. Because this is stuff that people did in like the late 1800s that they fixed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and it's nothing new. It's been done time and time again, and they're just in a like I said, a certain market that's completely unregulated at the moment, and you know, tried to pull a fast one, got a fast one pulled on them by Crypto King, right? You know, remember collectibles guru that already scammed him out of $3.5 million of Pokemon cards like the year previous. So yeah.
Or off CryptoZoo as a project. How much money did you make?
Yeah, this seems to be the biggest misconception, and it is disappointing that that part was glossed over so quickly. Made no money off CryptoZoo,
and I believe it.
Never sold.
I believe it.
Jeff never sold the token.
It's true. They didn't. They never sold their tokens.
Trying to make things right, along with everyone else in the project, but no money was made. No tokens were sold. And CoffeeZilla even said that in his series. So to answer your question, yeah, no money was made by Jeff or I.
And just back to the flip side really quick.
Where the money was made and lost at was Crypto King, because they all pulled it in. They tried to scam, you know, Crypto King, you know, first trying to scam him. He scammed Crypto King, and then Crypto King got him again, and he got the last laugh and got his money and got out, right? That's where the money went. That's why I made no money.
To me, once I heard that seemed just like a kill shot to this entire thing.
Now I'll play the other side.
No.
Sure, and I know you're going to say there's a ton more. It's very complex.
No kill shot to anything.
No. I empathize. I totally see why people are frustrated. I'm fucking frustrated. I've been frustrated for over a year. So I'll let you keep going. And again, while we made no money on the project, which I think kills the scam narrative immediately.
No, it doesn't.
There is.
It doesn't, because even though he didn't make money, all these other people that invested still got scammed out of their money. You can't just say it's a kill shot to the scam just because he didn't make anything on it. Just because you got scammed too, it doesn't mean it wasn't a scam. And the game, bear in mind, the game never worked. It never worked. I mean, it was real buggy. Okay, it worked for, I think somebody said like less than a day or something like that before they like stopped it. But they said it was so buggy that was the reason that they stopped it.
There is more explaining to do.
What was your intent with CryptoZoo as a project?
I really thought it was going to be the next big thing. It was my first foray into creating a project on the blockchain.
Which that's not true, because of Dink Doink.
My intent was to make the next Pokemon, essentially, you know, on the blockchain. It was.
And if that were the case, he wanted to make the next Pokemon, he wouldn't have tried to make the pictures like realistic looking anyway. He would have went ahead and animated. As a matter of fact, there was a guy who ended up making Logan Paul's game with some animated pictures and did it in like 4 or 5 hours. It took him 4 or 5 hours to make this game. Yeah, he had an entire development team that, you know, this thing completely fell apart. One guy did it in like 5 hours, and the game was way more playable than what Logan Paul's game is playable today, you know?
It was purely good.
And this dude, okay, and I saw Asmongold playing it, come to think of it. And the guy that made the game in like 4 or 5 hours was actually charging, you know, money for people to, you know, get different animals and stuff. I'm like, this dude's a genius, right? You know, because he made a game that wasn't even necessarily his idea to begin with, but because the game whose idea it was never worked, he made a game that actually worked and was making money on it. And I mean, he put the time and effort into it. I mean, he put about 4 or 5 hours worth in it and probably got way more than he put into it, so good for him.
I put 7 months of my time, energy, effort, all of it into this project. And when shit hit the fan, it was devastating. It was heartbreaking. I never acted with malintention. I mean, again, like what was the intent to make money? I mean, I guess maybe eventually, like if you're running a business, I'd assume any intent is to make money off of it. But like, did we ever capitalize financially off of this? Absolutely fucking not.
For people that aren't aware, can you describe the dynamic between the token and the game?
Okay. So the idea was this. Yeah, maybe I should give some context to what the game is. So you buy these eggs on the blockchain, and you can hatch them into what are called base animals.
Except that you couldn't even hatch them, right?
I think there were like 14 or 15 of them, and then you can breed your base animals with each other to create fun-looking viral hybrid offspring that have a rarity scale.
And the NFTs that they sold of the animals were just Adobe stock photos that they paid a licensing fee for.
Hatch a rare animal, and you breed it with another rare animal, and it yields a rare hybrid animal. That animal then yields and collects a token the longer you hold it. Then when you release it into the wild, you accrue your yield. Does that make sense? That was the concept.
Got it.
And it was based off the idea that people could create these fun animals that didn't exist. And this was another part of CryptoZoo that got ripped apart. People seem to really discount the art, which I felt truthfully wasn't fair.
By art, he's talking about the hybrid animals when you breed them together. And they were the stock Adobe photos that were photoshopped, like the panda with an elephant trunk. Woo!
I was kind of in the middle on that one. It was very
do you know how,
okay.
Do you
It was
know how
very
hard
basic.
It is?
Yes, I
Do you
know.
know how hard it is
to
merge animals that do exist into an animal that doesn't exist and make it look like a real animal?
I'm gonna
like,
ask.
There was a guy that did it in 4 or 5 hours.
Like I'll just say right now, bro. If you take an animal from CryptoZoo and like a fucking picture of a monkey wearing a hat and go ask like someone on the street, like, hey, which of these is more captivating to you?
Well, yeah, obviously, because an animal that doesn't necessarily exist is going to be more interesting to people. That's kind of a no-brainer.
Something tells me the animal that doesn't exist that looks like a real hybrid animal is probably gonna win.
Even if someone out there is skeptical or hesitant to call it some sort of insane artistic expression, they at least probably have to agree that it falls within industry, like in the area of industry standards for NFTs at the time. I mean, look at some of the other projects. I mean, shout out Gary, but like, dude, like.
How dare you?
I'm
Do
just
not
saying, bro.
Fucking insult V friends
or Doodles or whatever. I mean, whatever project you want to bring up.
That's
right
why
now, whether it's
I
apes
found
or whatever.
That's why I found this argument a little. I felt wasn't quite fair. I'll listen to them, but like, man, if you were to interview and ask my artists what they thought of people just ripping their work to shreds, and by the way, some of them do this. Some of them are like post actively on Reddit.
But bear in mind, again, like Asmongold said, he put together the entire Suicide Squad of crypto. So he got all the worst of the worst together.
Hybrid animals, and the hybrid animals thread on Reddit is hilarious and has a bunch of likes and people commenting on it. But the moment that I say it's something that I'm doing, it doesn't work in that context.
I think it was shined in a bad light. I think if it didn't have the negative outline on it, people wouldn't.
No. That was the first critique that happened.
I actually have I want to ask you something. Again, I'm just throwing out other people's point of views. I'm not trying to stick a.
No, you should.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stick it into you. When I'm looking at this from my point of view, bro, I think you guys are kind of like, you're seeing it from your guys' point of view, which is obvious because it's your point of view, and you are not a scammer. You don't hurt people. You don't do these type of things. So it's gonna affect your heart because you didn't do that. And for the world to look at you in that type of way, it's very drowning. It feels like you can't breathe because people are already painting you out to be something you're not. But put a pin in that. Over here are people that root for you, that look at you like somebody they want to be like, they want to achieve like. And so when they invested in your project, and they're
like I said, this guy here, he actually plays, devil's advocate for the other side and gives them some serious questions.
Remember, they don't have our lifestyle, so they're working paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
So when they go, fuck yeah, Logan's involved in this, I know it's going to win because I've watched this guy win. And I want to be like this fucking guy. So I'm going to invest my hard-earned money. From their point of view, I get your guys' point of view because you're dealing with a legal team. You're dealing with all the people that did you wrong. But from their stance, they go, how dare you go and open up 2 other projects when I just wasted my hard-earned money on something that I believed you would do.
This is a point of view that
they don't care what you feel like and what CoffeeZilla feels like. They want to demand answers for their own money.
100%.
So what do you say to the people that watched you make the project where you're taking pictures and all the other projects? Yep. How does it feel for you in your seat where your team saying, hey, shut up, don't bring this up. We're going to bring this back in the future and all the answers will be explained. How does it feel knowing that you couldn't speak up in time and now you look like this villain? And no disrespect, you look like a piece of shit to the people that are like, yo, fuck this guy sitting on millions of dollars, always trying to get attention. And now he doesn't give a fuck about us. So he's not going to speak out about it until this other fucking dude's going to speak out. And now this cocksucker is going to talk now.
Great question.
Very good question.
The answer is
great question. Great question. Great question.
Fucking heartbreaking, George. I'll get emotional even speaking about it right now, but this is what broke me. People relied on me to create a project, and when shit wasn't working out and I found out the extent of just how bad things were behind the scenes, I had to rely on my team. I crumbled internally, and the advice was, while actual legal process was going on because of criminal investigation taking place that CoffeeZilla highlighted in his series, I had to stay silent. And for a fucking year.
And that, that does make sense. If there is criminal investigation going on, it is best to stay silent about that. But at the same time, you just say, hey, there's criminal investigation going on, can't really talk about it, blah, 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 to your community. But of course, you're not going to do that because you still want people investing into your project, your freaking crypto scam, right?
Here, I'm hounding Jeff. How do we make this right? What's the status of the game?
But they don't see that. They don't see that. That's crazy.
The engineer stole the code, who was hired by a fucking con man, a guy that I found out to be a con man, a guy that I had trusted. Not just a guy that I had trusted, a guy that billionaires had trusted, a guy that fooled the Mormon Church and the New York Yankees. And now in hindsight,
he's talking about Eddie Ibanez.
1 + 1 = fucking 2. I get that. And the advisor, again, that I trusted, was selling against my buyers, people that actually wanted to play this game. It was like a mountain. It was like a mountain that collapsed one after the other after the other. This massive forest fire would come up. I thought we put it out, and then something else would happen, and something else would happen, and then my legal team goes, yo, there is criminal investigation going on. It is best to stay silent at this moment.
So I have another question. I understand your point of view because I'm your friend. I actually was with you when you found out, and I saw how like your face turned white and you slid up against the fridge when you found out. I was there, so that's why I could boldly, with my chest out, be like, bro, I watched when this guy found the news. But fuck CoffeeZilla, fuck you. No joke. What do we do for the people that were fucked?
I
Exactly.
and Jeff, and I'd like you to sit in, Jeff, are working. We are at work and have been working to make this game. And that's part of the solution. Deliver the fucking project, right? And that's never stopped. There have been massive road bumps and massive obstacles along the way. But that was always the prerogative. CoffeeZilla making a series or not, the game is being made. He just assumed we gave up on it, which is not true.
Yeah, they did.
However,
they gave up on it, but then they changed direction, decided that they're going to continue making the game, because if they don't, but now that this 3-part docuseries has come out, they're going to be open to or liable to get fraudulent lawsuits placed against them by the investors, shoot. I'm going to take another quick break here, folks. I'm going to take another quick break, and I will be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
The answer is yes, George.
Not all
I'm
of
not
them,
a
but
fucking scammer.
most of them.
I have the best intentions,
Hmm.
and I will make this right for the people who believed in me. You know how adamant I was about.
And bear
fixing
in mind,
all
I'm
of
sure
this
he
and
did
making
have
this right. Sure. And for a year,
I'm sure he did have good intentions, right? I mean, after all, they had a shadow release of their coin and all this and that and the other a month before the actual release. Pyramid scheme. That's all I'm saying.
for a year, I was told I couldn't say anything. And then CoffeeZilla series came out, and I fucking called you guys, and I said, I'm making a statement. I don't give a fuck.
Yep.
I spent days writing this thing because at the end of the day, he told a story. Some of it's true, some of it's not. I don't know what to believe from his stuff, and I don't know what not to believe. I found out stuff. I found out things watching his series. Like, dude, I was at the airport when I watched the part where he said Jake's had stolen.
Of course.
I
was like, what?
$6 million. I don't know if that's true or not, but I knew he was a bad actor, hence why we kicked him off the fucking team immediately when we found out he was only in it for the
His
money.
prerogatives, yeah. Things fucking fell apart from.
I could be mistaken, but wasn't he in it all about the money from the get-go? Because he said, fuck 20 million, it was at 100, or fuck 40 million, it was at 120 million. Wasn't he the one that said that? Could be mistaken, right?
From Zach to trying to find new devs, realizing that our first lead dev couldn't perform, and then realizing that now there's an investigation going on.
But it's also you have to understand that it's not simple. I mean, he's trying to bridge the gap here between protecting his client, protecting a project that he's been a part of, getting out whatever information is possible. I've said this a million times. The internet loves to oversimplify very fucking complex issues.
On top of the complex issue that we dealt with, which were issues with people, the blockchain technology, and this is something that's brand new, and what Logan ideated in his head of a really cool idea is actually somewhat complex.
Which is, by the way, hard for me to swallow. Okay, and I have a vision and an idea of these things, and then I say, Jeff, here's what I want to make, here's what I want to do, and then people are put in place to attempt to make that happen. And when it was found out that either A, they had ill intent, or B, were incapable of doing it, and then shit really hit the fan, what do I do? What do I do?
I actually have an answer for that. When you're on
Like I said, this guy right here, man.
the top rope at WWE and you're going like this after a crazy show and the audience is going crazy. When you're bringing Prime into the table and people are drinking it, being like, how the fuck is this product this good? When you're doing these absolute, like, we're watching a superhero kill these side quests day after day after day after day, none of these quests would be completed without your team. And when you win, we celebrate together. What I need this team to start doing is when you guys take a dip, you got to stop pointing the fingers at each other.
When all this broke, when we were in Qatar, I kind of remember this. We were in the spa one day, and I saw the pain in your, and this, like I said, this is not.
In other words, you need to own up, take responsibility, is what that dude is saying. And he's saying it as a team, but I'm saying it about Logan Paul specifically because he is the figurehead of the entire thing.
Going to turn into a fucking victim thing. I just want to point this out. I saw this pain in your face, bro, and this like emptiness in your fucking eyes when all this was breaking. And I remember thinking to myself, having been through a couple things, very minor in comparison to the ones you've gone through and are going through now, where I was railroaded by the internet on something that just simply wasn't true. I've been through a chunk of shit in my life, but I honestly don't know if I recall feeling like that. the feeling of not being able to say, yo, this is not what happened. You guys have it wrong, even though you and everyone around you knows that you're being fucked and being railroaded by an incomplete or unsubstantiated story, is one of the most painful fucking things in the entire world. It's terrible.
Where Coffee fucked up is by targeting me as some malicious, evil supervillain. If he had told this story objectively and told the story without vilifying me, regardless, we're still making this right. But in my
again, he's the figurehead of the entire project, so whatever, happens on the project reflects back on him and his character being the figurehead. That's why you're the figurehead, you're the celebrity, you're the one that needs to take responsibility.
opinion, that's where it got twisted and hurt the most. Dude, I'm sitting in the seat solely because of my fans. I love them. I'll take any picture you want, unless I'm at dinner. That's my one rule. I'll take any picture you want.
Now you better get your ass up. You better wipe your face and get up. That might be the rule.
This is why it fucking hurts that mission statement that I've had since I was 8 fucking years old posting online was tainted by this dude who had an agenda.
No, he didn't have an agenda. He was just looking into something. You didn't like it. That's basically all there is to it. Now let's check out CoffeeZilla's response to some of this stuff. Let's see. Yeah, if Logan Paul sues, I'm countersuing him based on this highly defamatory image. It's just him with the tiny face on his head. And that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, let's see. Logan Paul says me interviewing people who lost money in CryptoZoo is milking the shit out of it. And if I continue to do so and call this a scam, it's going to be worse for me in the lawsuit. Let's see.
Have lost here. He's probably gonna put people who have lost here on a pillar and highlight them. That's what I would do if I were him. I'd milk the shit out of this, and like I said, he's probably going to. He's good. He's very good. But part 6 is the more he says and the more he continues to spread this misinformation that this was any sort of con or scam, the more I have for the lawsuit that I am filing. He's probably gonna put people who.
But no, like, come on my platform. Let's talk about this, right? A little Nat is a formidable opponent, the most formidable opponent that Logan Paul ever had.
Opponent I've had. I'm not kidding. The guy,
Why did you block him on Twitter?
it's like a little gnat. It's like a little fucking annoying gnat, and it bothers me. He won. He got to me, bro. He's the most formidable opponent I've had. I'm not kidding. The guy's good.
Why did you block him on Twitter?
Can't get over the fact that Logan Paul subscribed to my. That's true, and he did mention. CoffeeZilla mentioned this. I think before, it was. Okay. Can't get over the fact Logan Paul subscribed to my Patreon, advertised it on his main channel, said he admired my work ethic and creativity, and then said he's suing me. I mean, like it just goes around and around and around, man. Like, it's absolutely nuts. Oh. Is this the response video? Please tell me this is gonna work. Oh no, it's just a screen cap of the response video. Fear not, CryptoZoo holders who spent millions in 2021. The basic game might be delivered in 2023, 2024, and definitely not because I made a video about it. This is hardly important with all the insane lies on Logan Paul's new video, but did he really say he was going to sue me and also say he'd love to host me on Impulsive? Laughed my ass off. It's a trap. That ain't a podcast invite, bro. And then the picture of the lawsuit. Remember the tweet that we saw in Logan Paul's earlier? It said, you expect me to see every DM, blah, blah. No, I don't expect you to see every DM, which is why I reached out to your manager and explicitly said I was trying to reach out to you because I hadn't gotten a response. And he said, Logan's really reaching on this one. Yeah, like, the response to Logan Paul drops today with the big sad sad face. Let's see, Logan's response. His response was rash and misaligned with the true issue. He's going to be taking accountability, apologizing, and coming forward with a plan. Hey, y'all, just wanted to... this is on the Discord channel for all those the crypto zoo investors. Hey, y'all, just wanted to update you. I deleted my initial response to Coffee's series. It was rash and misaligned with the true issue at hand, so I called him today and apologized. The war is not with Coffee. In fact, I'm grateful he brought this to light. I will be taking accountability, apologizing, and coming forward with a plan in the near future. Thank you all for believing in this project and sticking with me. I know it's been bumpy, but your support is everything to me, and I will make this right. So we have yet to see if he actually is going to. So, humbled to be profiled by the New Yorker. I grew up reading them, so this is wild to me. CoffeeZilla, the YouTuber exposing crypto scams. Ooh, this is an interesting read. I haven't even seen this yet. But this says May 14th, 2022. Yeah, I'm not going to read all that. I may read it later. I'm not doing it on stream. But yeah, that's all interesting stuff. I think I'm going to call it there for tonight. And we'll probably just pick up with the other issues that I wanted to get into. I just kind of got sucked into this and, got everyone watching this stuff. So, but like I said in the go live notification, the crypto scam thing, Alpha Male's being baited. That had to do with that Andrew Tate guy. If you don't know who he is, apparently he's like this influencer online that he's supposed to be like the real alpha male, pick up all the chicks, this and that and the other. I'll get into him tomorrow. And then we'll also talk about the frustration that a lot of folks are having with the demonetization on YouTube. We'll talk about that, and then we'll get into some gameplay. Terrible gameplay, yeah, but gameplay nonetheless. And I'll see all you folks tomorrow, and most importantly, thanks for watching.